Hello, my BMX nerd friends. Welcome back to another episode of Kanode Knows, brought to you by Dig BMX. This week we have somebody who I've looked up to for a long time. He's always felt like, I don't know, that's fucking Christian Rigal. He's too cool. I always admired him and sweated him. I've made fun of him sometimes with his red and his running gimbal, but he really changed the game a lot when it comes to like iTunes, selling videos on iTunes. The Markit video was phenomenal. His history in BMX is amazing, and filmmaking, and then stepping up his game. We get into how he got into owning a red camera and then bringing that into BMX. I think he was one of the first people shooting BMX on a red. And he's made a nice living for himself. He's got 3 different careers: started in riding BMX, then filming, and now he's a professional mountain bike rider. And it was a cool conversation. I'm really glad that he came on. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Before we get into it, make sure you like and subscribe, share the show with a friend, and if you're listening, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That would help the show tremendously. So another thing before we get into it, go to rarlife.com and enter promo code Kanode to get 15% off of green superfoods. It's something you can add into your daily routine that if you're not living the healthiest life right now, like, start adding in the good stuff. You don't have to cut back on all the bad stuff yet, but if you add good, you'll start to feel better, and then you'll think, okay, maybe I'll stop drinking for a while, or whatever the hell your problem is. That's a good enough intro. Shout out to Dig, shout out to Christian. Thank you for coming on, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and we'll see you next. Here's Christian Rigal. Good morning, Christian Rigal. Is that how you say it?
Good morning, Bobby. Thank you for having me, dude.
Fuck yeah. Stoked that you're down to do it.
Oh
Everybody
yeah,
that does this, I'm like, you're down? That's crazy.
dude. If people want to have a chat and anything that I can talk about can help or motivate or inspire anybody else, I am always more than happy to do it.
Hell yeah. Um, yeah, on that note, have you I'm sure you've been on tours and signed autographs and all that shit. What's like your have you ever had, a kid come up to you and be like, "Man, you're my hero," or what sticks out? Do you have a memory? Cuz for example, I was on a Sabrosa tour, and then I'll never forget, this little kid came up to me, and I don't think he knew who I was, but he was like, handed me a Sharpie. He was like, "Will you sign my forehead?" And I got to sign this kid's forehead, like BK. And I was like, I'll never forget that. Do you have a like little kid interaction or fan interaction that you have over the years that pops to mind?
I mean, there's definitely been a lot of like very surprising instances, but I can't help but think of a time that we did a United trip to Argentina, and that was hands down the most diehard fans I've ever seen in my life. Like, they would drive, one of the people drove 30 hours
Holy
just like
shit.
stand in line to walk into the shop to like have like a minute of time to like get a photo, get an autograph. Not even a minute might be gracious, like it was so jam packed. And like just those fans, like they treated us like we were A-list celebrities. And
That's
in
amazing.
BMX, like I've never felt anything like that. Like we had like people escorting us in and out of the demos, like we had security, like it was gnarly. And I just got like the slightest taste of what it would be like to be a real celebrity. And I was like, dude, happy to just be a BMX rider, because that shit is crazy. But just to see how passionate they were and how happy they were just to like meet like Nathan, Corey, Jeff, and myself, like it was a trip, man. So definitely out there, like if you ever have a chance to, it might be all of like Central America, but like at least Argentina was insane. Like
That's fire. I
a
love
kid
that.
had Nathan's exact tattoo on his arm, like the same way Nathan had it, and I'm just like,
Wow.
that's some
Yeah.
dedication right there.
Super fans. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's weird because we stay in our own little like world here in the States, or even in just like your own city. And then if you think about it, like BMX is worldwide, and the fact that you got to travel and see it, like Argentina, dude, that's fire. How
yeah.
I was listening to a Two Bears One Cave, and Tom Segura was talking about Argentina yesterday, and he said it's like a 10-hour flight. It's a long ways away, right? Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said Central America by accident, but South America is where it is. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's out there. But like, yeah, man, it's beautiful out there. The food, the culture, the riding. Like, I highly recommend it. We did a big road trip all over Argentina, and I thoroughly enjoyed everywhere that we went, from the street spots to the skate parks, the cool little shops that we saw. Like,
That's
yeah,
dope.
a lot of beauty to see out there and a lot of culture to experience.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's amazing to hear that they treat you like a A-list celebrity. That's kind of trippy. It's
Dude,
even trippy just being like a little celebrity at a bike shop in somewhere in the States, you know, and having kids come up and like, oh my God, that's you, you know, like
oh, for
have,
sure. I saw a
have it like
kid,
that.
not
Yeah.
related to me, but I was filming a Haro tour and I was in the car, like pretty much hiding while the boys went out and got like same kind of treatment, just swarmed. And I watched a kid lick Chad Curley's head tube and had his homie like film it for him. I'm just like sitting in the car, like, oh my God, this is actually happening. Like his bike's on the rack in front of me, and this kid's literally licking his head tube.
Holy shit.
Like, this is insane, but it all
That
comes.
kid will never forget that either. He's like, I licked Chad Curley's bike.
Yeah, dude, it's cool. Whatever, you know. Yeah. To each his own, but it was just cool to see the genuine like happiness that they got from meeting
Yeah,
dudes like
you guys are
that. So
like heroes. I mean, and honestly, the looking back at the Market video, Market Zero, like that shit was top of the world type writing. So two questions, like we could go in two different directions because we're on the being in Argentina, so that makes me want to ask, what's your favorite place you've been? I feel like you've been damn near all over the world, and then uh, the other route I would go is like, how'd you meet Chad Curley? So let's try and do both. Like, what's your favorite place you've ever been? And then we'll get into meeting the boys.
hmm, that's a tough one. It's like it's hard to say because I'm like going off of experiences could be one thing, going off like the setups that I found could be another thing, but I mean, honestly, like it might be cliche, but it's really hard to not say Barcelona when I think
Mm-hmm.
back to like my, at least BMX wise, when I think back to like the places I've been, like you just can't beat the like pedaling around and like literally it's like you're time traveling through videos, seeing these famous spots that you remember, oh, there's that spot from this video, and there's, you know, this guy's spot from the fit video, and like it's just that mixed with the amazing spots and then the culture out there and how laid back it is, the food's amazing, like just everything together. Like anyone who's ever been to Barcelona, I can almost guarantee they either went back or they wanted to go back, and it's
Yeah.
because it's such a unique place. So I'd probably put Barcelona quite high on that list of overall, from the spots to the experience to everything, is definitely a highly recommended travel destination for anybody that rides BMX or skateboards.
Yeah, dude, it's paradise. It's like a walk. It's like walking through a video game, literally. And then you know the beach is right there. It was. I was tripped out by like how laid back it was in the afternoon. Like the siesta is a real thing, and just like you said, the culture of being able to, instead of like driving to a supermarket, you just walk to a like real local market where they have fresh fruit and vegetables and all that, and it's a totally different world over there. The way they
Oh
live
yeah,
in Europe is interesting, and it's quite contrary to how we got it here in the States, you know?
for sure. I think it's a refreshing change of pace and scenery out there.
Yeah. All right. I'm curious because you have been everywhere. So what's a close second?
Um, I don't. That's a tough one. Like, because I've been to some really amazing places as just a filmer, and it was really awesome. But it's hard to pick out like between that and riding. I think Japan was probably just for me like a very different experience and like a place that I never imagined I would have ended up on any of my normal travels. You know,
Yeah.
and like always a bit of a bummer in the sense to go to a place like that where the language barrier is so strong, where like I didn't really get to connect with anyone on that kind of level, but just like, I mean, the cities were so clean and so beautiful and the spots were insane, and like just the, yeah, like that was just a really cool trip, just being in a place where I never thought my bike would take me. And
Yeah.
yeah, just a
So jealous. I
very
want to go to
different scene.
Japan, dude.
Dude, it's really cool. Like, and we did a bike shop tour, and somehow, like, I don't know if this is Ian Morris's doing or what, but like, we like prioritized our filming and riding. So like, we did shop stops, but like at night. So we like go ride all day and like hit a bunch of sick spots and get a bunch of clips, and then go meet up at a shop or like a skate park at night and like hang with the kids and stuff. So it's like a pretty cool little balance where like, because it's always a tease when you're in a really dope place and you're like, ah, like I want to go ride
Stuck at a
and hit
bike
all these
shop.
spots.
Yeah.
So like we definitely got to like make the most of it and ride some really great stuff, and then also like connect with the locals and go to all the shops. So I'd say
Dude, I
Japan.
think that's smart. That's a smart way to do it. Do the bike shop or the shop stop at night, and so that you have a day to ride in that city. That's fire.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
brought
So
you to Japan? You said it's camera related. What project were you doing?
that one was a riding trip actually. That was like I think it's maybe motocross or something was the distribution. I don't remember the distro out there exactly, but I think between them and United, they came together and got us out there. And um yeah, it was just like a kind of came out of nowhere. But yeah, it's just a distro trip. Just we made a cool little video from it, and yeah, I just think it was like a kill two birds with one stone. We'll do all these shop stops, stoke everyone out, all the distros that are selling our bikes, and then make a cool little video and share it with everybody else. So
That's the move. That's kind of the whole point. It's interesting, like, I don't know, trying to think about BMX and what we are, like basically a professional rider is just a billboard, it's all marketing the product to sell and thinking about it from the business aspect of it and how valuable it is to go to a shop stop because then you're impacting those kids and they'll buy something because they got to meet you. They want Christian Rigal's frame or whatever. It's interesting to think about, like, could you see yourself owning a BMX company? Would you ever want to do that?
I've there's been multiple times over the years where I wanted to start my own brand just because I mean, I think it's just a natural progression. Like you ride for companies, then also as a filmer, I work with companies. So between the two, I feel like I have a very good idea of like what, how things should be done and all that from my previous experiences. So at one point, like I almost launched a hat company back in the day before there was really like any proper like hats. I've always got ideas, but it takes a lot of work,
Execution is hard,
dedication,
yeah.
energy, and money to follow through on these. But just from the years that we had Markit, like I would love to have something like that where it's like your own baby, even if it's that started from like a crew and some stickers, and it turned into something like very legit. So just knowing how that grew and how that started pretty organically, um, I would love to have that someday, but at this point in my life right now, I'm like, there's no way I could have the bandwidth to do something like that.
Yeah.
I don't see myself ever having a normal job or working like a 9 to 5 or anything. So if I'm not riding for a living and if I'm not filming for a living, then I'd be an entrepreneur and I'd have my own company or something going on because I just
Hell yeah.
that's how I am, and I'm not good with working under like a stereotypical like boss in a normal job atmosphere.
It's a nightmare, dude. I've had a couple of different corporate jobs and I never last long. Dude, I was fresh out of college. I got a job as a copier salesman, like the big copy machines that you see in businesses, dude. And I would have to I got my dad's old suits and his old like fat ties and his pleated large pants, and I just looked ridiculous, like 21 years old and trying to it was business to business. So I'm just walking into these random businesses like, "Hi, would you like to speak about your copy machine?" And they're like, "No, dude." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Fuck this, dude. I don't like can't handle it." The just like
Yeah.
the structure, dude. I want to be able to like cuz like I don't know. I think it's so dumb to be locked in from this time to this time. Like if you can get the work done, you should be able to bounce, and
Totally.
like disincentivizes being efficient. Anyway, I remember Market had some jeans going on at a certain point, right? Is that
Yeah, that was kind of like the whole goal from the start was like, all right, we're gonna start it as a crew, but it's gonna turn into like, me and Dennis and most of us were riding like Volcom jeans at the time and like paying like, 70 or $80 for jeans that we were stoked on, and all that money's just going into skateboarding's pocket. And like we
yeah.
were just like, fuck, like Dennis took the initiative to like, create samples and base this crew and turn it into a brand. And it sucks because like I feel like we did all the right things, but the timing was off on a lot of it because it took so long to like sample the jeans and figure out the manufacturing and everything. So by the time we were done with the video and it was out, like I feel like we kind of missed our window for with the
For it to
jeans.
pop
By the time
off,
we had
yeah.
the jeans perfected, we lost the material, the manufacturer we're using discontinued the material, and it kind of just like it just
Damn.
really like it all fell apart from there. Like we ordered one or two more batches of jeans that were supposedly with the same material and it wasn't, and then they started to rip and it just like it kind of just like that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And I think like it was already enough of a process to get to that point where like we've tested the jeans, we can co-sign for these, like they're the best. And then they pulled the rug out from under us and kind of
Sucks.
screwed that.
Damn.
So either way, I think like for what I think we accomplished way more than we ever would have imagined. And most of the work that Dennis did on that was while he was hurt. He unfortunately had a lot of injuries during that time. So I think like it made sense and he had the time available to like pour into the brand, into the manufacturing side of it. But then by the time all the problems happened and Dennis is healthy again, I just think like it just seemed like a little too much to devote that much time and energy into something when we pretty much had to start from scratch again. So
Yeah.
it was a denim company for a bit. And I mean, I still have people to this day. A lot of mountain bikers were really hyped on the jeans, and I like Brandon Semenick was like probably one of the most like he probably bought more pairs of those jeans than any other like individual. So it's cool to see like that it grew outside of BMX and people did like really think that they were the best jeans. So I'm glad that it was short and it was sweet, but I'm glad
It
that
had an impact.
we made something that we were happy with that other people were also into. So I think
That's
short
dope.
and sweet, but we did it right as far as we could for being a bunch of young dudes that knew nothing of running a business or anything of that
Yeah.
form.
It's cool to at least try. And that's Dennis seems like he's just like, let's go. He does shit and then he gets life gets busy and you know, I'm stoked on anybody doing shit or at least trying, That sucks all the stuff happened with the jeans. I remember Markit like it was yesterday, dude. I think if correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Mediocre at Best, my video was nominated the same year as Markit and then you guys won. And am I right? Is that the same year? Do you
I
remember?
want to because I'm pretty sure that was where we met was the toast where it because the first toast it premiered and then the second toast I think was the Nora where it won. And I
Yeah.
would say that between one or two of those is when we met. But yeah, I'm pretty sure those were falling under the same year. Like if you guys were the same year as the Fit video where Van Homan won video part, then that was the same year that we won video of the year.
Nice. Yeah. Well, congrats. I see that trophy. It's a beautiful thing, man.
Dude, thank you, man. It's absolute honor. Like I'm very happy to have that like souvenir for what I would consider the most like memorable and special time of my BMX career is those Market days.
Yeah,
So
it's a timeless video, dude. It's kind of crazy to look back and I just skimmed through it and I'm just like the writing in this is like unbelievable. And it's the type of writing that doesn't matter how much time goes by, it's still gonna be a fucking banger. It's a pretty legendary video.
thank you. I often joke that for everybody that I mean Dennis and Chad aside, everybody else in Market's pretty much like switched careers or moved on to just like having a family or whatever. And I feel like we caught the best of each of our riding in that video. I think like
Yeah,
me and Jeff put out one more video part for United after that. I'm still very proud of that, but I feel like most of us kind of like slowed down and changed things up after Market. So I'm glad that we like captured that moment of time and did it to the best of our abilities because after that everyone's lives kind of changed and obviously Dennis and Chad are still very much doing their thing and killing it in BMX, but like me, Jonas, Rob, Jeff, Connor, Ronnie, we're all just like we got
peace.
life changed.
So how has life changed for you? What does life look like for you right now?
Shoot, it's still a trip to even think about, but I'm pretty much just riding mountain bikes full time for a living and filming. We're 4 months into the year. I haven't even pitched one project as a filmer. So
Nice.
I've never been just a rider. I've been riding bikes as a sponsored bike rider for I think 16 years and I've never ever just been a rider. I've always like juggled and bounced between riding and filming. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just like riding, trying to put all my effort into my own projects and spending as much time on the bike as I can. And I'm not going to shy away from a cool video project as a filmer if it pops up, but I'm not like seeking the work like I used to, and I'm not like taking every job that comes like I used to. And yeah, just I don't know how long this chapter of my life will be around to be able to like ride for a living. So I'm putting my all into it and
As you should, dude. That's
trying to
so
make it
dope.
last as long as I can. This is a dream come true that I never even would have been able to dream. So I'm like, I'm gonna cherish it and make the most of it.
I've seen, because it's, I don't know if it's like a trend, but a lot of people are switching from BMX, or not switching, but like adding mountain biking into their world. How did it come about for you? Have you always like fucked around with mountain biking on the side, or did you like make a conscious decision? All right, I want to get into this. Like, how did mountain biking enter your life?
It was really random and an organic process. It all just started from Dennis was the first one to ever like put me on to Brandon Semenek, and he's been dropping mind-blowing videos
He's
since.
so sick, dude.
I mean, I think right around the Markit video they did Revel in the Chaos, which was like I remember him saying he was inspired by the Markit video because we did it on iTunes. We kind of did it all our own, self-funded and everything. So right around that same time, he took inspiration from that. So Dennis knew of him just from Instagram, like, dude, there's this insane like Red Bull mountain biker, like you got to check out his videos. And instantly became a fan. Like I could just tell the way he rode, the way his videos were produced, like the tracks that he builds and the jumps he builds, like there's just something about it that like drew me in. So I was a fan of him and mountain biking, but like through him, like I didn't know anyone else. I didn't like follow or know anything else about it. And I think I like went to follow him one day and he was already following me. And
Nice.
we just kind of like, you know, I feel like I don't know, for me it's normal to just end up like chatting with people on Instagram, just whether it's from through comments or whatever. But we became friends. We met at a skate park through Heath Pinter and
Legend.
just kind of randomly bumped into each other a few times over the years. And then one day we were on a street trip, me, Dennis, and Nathan Williams filming up in NorCal. And Brandon comes to Aptos, where I live now, every winter to escape the snow. And he's like, hey, if you dudes ever want to come ride mountain bikes, let me know. I got some spare bikes. And I was like, I'd ask the boys, I'm like, yo, you guys want to go ride mountain bikes with Brandon Semenek? And they're like, oh, yeah.
Fuck
Like
yeah.
we were pretty roached. Like I already had a rolled ankle. Dennis and Nathan both, I think Dennis had a bad wrist and Nathan had a tweaked ankle or something. We were like end of the film trip. Like I was still like trying to get clips too. So we were all like feeling it. And we're like, fuck, like mountain bikes might be kind of gnarly, but like they have suspension. Maybe it won't be that bad. And yeah, like long story short, we met up with Brandon. They took us to a private property, which strangely enough, I just moved across the street from. So like full circle now, I live across the street from where it
You
all
started
started.
mountain
But
biking. Wow.
he handed us two of his like brand new, freshly painted custom Red Bull Rampage bikes, like the bike he like rode, and then his like backup bike, and like we had no clue of the significance of these bikes or how crazy that
Damn.
was at the
Yeah.
time. No helmets, no clue what we're doing, just like following him down the trail, trying to survive. Like I'm like
Trying to
slugging
survive.
everything. Nathan's like sliding out in the turns. Like it was, we felt like little kids. Like it was like the only thing I could compare that feeling to is like the first day I ever went to Woodward in middle school as a camper, and it's just like sensory overload, having so
Yeah.
much fun. We're like laughing and giggling down the trail like little kids. Like it was the most fun I could really remember having on a bike. And I told Brandon the end of that day, I'm like, dude, next paycheck I get or I could justify, like I'm buying a mountain bike. Like
Fuck yeah. What was the first one that you bought?
Brandon actually got me an industry deal on a Trek Remedy, and I had that bike for like a year before I like changed it up and everything. But yeah, like that literally that day changed it all for me, and just like that was what got me hooked. Like I didn't have any aspirations of like making anything with mountain biking or doing anything with mountain biking. I just loved the feeling I got from it. And at that time, it'd pretty much been almost a year of me like kind of clocking out of BMX, and like I'm like, okay, like I'm just gonna see what like being a filmer's like. I've never just been a filmer. I know that my work can be better if I put all my effort and time into it. So I kind of had about a year of just filming, and I definitely noticed I was more proud of my work in that year, because when I'm not thinking about riding or going to a spot to film a dude and then like going back and forth of like getting some riding in myself and filming him, like you miss those opportunities of all the sick B-roll and all the like test, shots and everything. So yeah, I was like a filmer for a year, but it wasn't like doing it for me. You know, like I still like I wasn't trying to push myself like I was on my BMX, but like I still needed to like do something, you know, like I think I didn't have the drive to one up myself on BMX, and if I wasn't going to do something better than my last part, I wasn't interested in like trying to do another video part.
Yeah.
But I didn't find or have anything else in life that I could like physically and mentally like push myself and like scare myself and get the adrenaline going, because like I was just jibbing around on my BMX bike, so I wasn't like getting my fix, I guess. So
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
very glad and happy that I found mountain biking, because I need that in my life. Like I'm not content with just filming and like documenting people do scary, crazy shit. Like I like to do that stuff. I need to like, I don't know, like I think the term's so corny, but like I literally am like an adrenaline junkie, in the sense of like I need like
The
I'm
thrill.
chasing that feeling
Yeah.
all the time. And I didn't really know that like I needed it until I didn't have it anymore. And I'm like, cool, like I'm not gonna go start diving down 40 stair rails again, but like I'm glad that I genuinely or naturally just found something where I could pour
And push
that
yourself
side of
and
me into it.
yeah, and keep getting better. And that's what you touched on is like kind of it's wise, you know. Well, I don't know, everybody has their different opinions, but I'm with you on like if you're not going to like try and do something better than what you last did, it doesn't feel the same, you know. It's
Totally.
interesting that you say you're an adrenaline junkie because that definitely shows in your writing. Your shit is wild and crazy setups, big ass rails. Like, why? And I'm curious about that mindset with various riders and where it comes from. If you could, like, as a therapist, why do you think that you're so attracted to that type of shit? You know, why are you an adrenaline junkie? Where does that come from? Do you think?
I'm not sure where it comes from, but I think that it's just the feeling. Like I mean, honestly, it's like a drug. Like it's like that's why I'm like addicted to it, because like riding will always like make me happy, but it's like I need to like push it a step further to like really dig into like the I don't know, like what gets me going. And it's like it's not just the riding, it's like pushing myself and like tricking my brain into doing the things that it's telling me I can't do when I know that I can do them, you know? And I think I
Yeah,
just like that like personal mental battle of like I'm not competing against anybody else. Like I'm never like I'm the most competitive person to me, but I don't care about like competing in the sense of like what other people are doing or anything like that. So like I think I just always have that personal like battle with myself where I'm like, I want to get better. I want to do this. Like, I don't think I can do that, but I really want to, you know, it's just like, I don't know. I think I just crave that, like proving to myself and showing that I can do it. And then the feeling you get after, like, I mean, if I could do like an amazing click turn down and get that feeling, then I'd be hyped. But that was never the reality for me. It's more like I need to like send this massive rail, and then the feeling I get when I roll away from it is going to be the sickest feeling ever. Like
for real. Yeah,
it took me a lot to get the feelings that I was after, versus like I'm sure some other riders can just like flow a bowl and just like front to
feel
back
good.
tire on the coping every time, and just like that could probably do it for them. But like as far as like style tricks or style and all that goes, like I never felt that my riding brought me that kind of feeling. So I think like I just naturally discovered that doing scary shit was what ticked all the boxes for me, and
Hell yeah.
I just kind of gravitated toward that and ran with it.
What's the scariest clip that you can think of? The speaking of, you know, mental battles and not thinking that you can do it, what's the one that sticks out in your mind of like, fuck, I really didn't think I could do that one.
um I mean, there's a couple.
You've done so much, dude. It's
Yeah, there's a couple
crazy.
for different reasons, because some of them just scared me, like because for dumb reasons, but like overall, probably I'd have to say is the banger in my United video where I did the grind to gap over the loading dock and
Yeah.
over the rail, because I was like so convinced that I could do it. But then the times where I'd get on the rail weird, I was like, dude, if I went for it right now, like I'm gonna sprocket case the fucking rail. Like I was just so scared. And I literally remember like Mira had just passed away like that week or something. And I like
Damn.
before I went on this one, I was like, fuck it, like this one's for Mira. And I just like went for it. And I swear like that helped, because like there's the times where like if I tell myself I'm going for it, I'm going for it. And I might bitch out one time, but really like the second that I like say I'm doing it, I'm fucking doing it. And I didn't do it on that one. And I was like, dude, if I don't do it on this next one, it's like I know I'll be like broken record mode and it won't happen.
Yeah.
So because I went the day before and I couldn't get myself to do it. So I think like just, thinking of him and just like putting that mindset for me like made it work. But I think that was probably like overall just like the most scary and the deepest I had to dig to like get myself to commit to something, even though I knew like I'm going fast enough, like it's gonna work. But like if I tried five feelers, like two of them would be death. And like I had to just rely on like I think my
Full
chances are
send.
higher of making it than not making it. But
Yeah, dude,
I
that's a hell of a clip. And then I remember seeing the stoke afterward is like very real. And not everybody goes through life. Some people go through life and they never experience that type of high, like that like accomplishment. And there's definitely something addicting about that. What
for sure.
going back in time, what was your first kind of taste of this type of shit? Like, how did you even get into riding? That's a cliche podcast question, but
I'll
give me
give
the
you
breakdown of your
yeah,
story.
quick generalization. I grew up in a small town, and for some reason, there was a lot of kids that rode BMX there, and I just would see this pack of riders pedaling from one side of town to the other. The bank that I'd go to with my mom, she'd go to the ATM, and like next to the bank, there was a dirt lot with a couple little dirt jumps, and like just seeing that combined with watching like X Games on TV and all that stuff, I just like I already rode bikes, but not BMX bikes, and I just wanted to jump. Like I saw those dudes hitting jumps and getting air and like just their little squad pedaling around. And yeah, it didn't take long for me after I saw that. And I think like maybe one of my friends from school had a BMX. I'm just like, Mom, like I want a BMX bike for Christmas or whatever. So yeah,
Nice.
just seeing it around my town, and then after seeing it, starting to like go to the video store and renting VHS tapes that had anything to do with like biking, skating, or rollerblading, anything. Like I was just hyped on anything action related back then. So
So, do you remember
yeah,
what your first bike was? The one
my
that your mom
first
got you for
real
Christmas?
proper. Well, I had like a couple Toys R Us bikes, like a Royce Union or something,
Yeah,
just like
nice.
sketchy, like front back brakes, four pegs, just like nothing that you could
Hmm.
really shred. But the first real bike that I got at the bike shop was a Mosh, like I think just like a chromoly Mosh bike, like a cheaper one, maybe like it's probably like $250 at the time, where like the nicer ones like the GT Performers and Fuelers and stuff, those were like $500. So like
Yeah.
it was like a proper BMX bike though. And then
How old
after
are you at this point, do you think?
I
GT
got that
Performer.
bike in third grade.
Damn, you started early.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Yeah, I was like soccer, basketball from like kindergarten, first grade, second grade into third grade. And then like once I found bikes, I just like kicked all that stuff to the side and just rode bikes. And yeah, that was it for
How
me.
were your parents with that?
My parents were really, really supportive. Like I had some friends that their parents were much more stern on like them sticking with team sports.
Yeah.
I think my parents saw the passion and the enjoyment that I got from it, and like they're like, if you don't enjoy, I even like I think even before I found BMX, I was the kid that just wanted to go to the games and not go to practice. Like I didn't, I was already like I feel like phasing out of team sports. I didn't like having a coach. I didn't like dealing with the team. Like if I was playing good, I hated when I lost because some other players like weren't playing good or whatever. Like I think I always just gravitated towards being on my own program and like being on my own team, in the sense of like BMX is very like independent and like you pushing yourself and everything. There's not like a coach there telling you what to do or
Yeah.
practice or whatever. So I think I was already gravitating out of that, and then I found BMX, and then it just like solidified that this is more my scene and what I like. And yeah, it was a wrap after that.
What was the first couple of tricks that you learned? The classics, 180, jumping.
I
Well,
definitely remember it was really hard learning just flat ground 180s, flat ground 360 tire taps, a lot of driveway riding on my street, just trying to learn these tricks.
yeah.
But I always like will forever remembering like the first or forever remember the first like real trick that I ever considered I like learned in the streets was a tree ride. Like
A tree
we
ride,
went,
nice.
like we had
Yes.
like a Burger King in our town, and all the older guys would go and just do like, tree ride to fakies on it. And like I remember me and Connor Lotus, like he grew up in the same town as me, like we would go there like every day and just like bounce off this tree and just try and learn it. And I remember like figuring, like I learned how to tree ride before I learned how to feeble grind. I don't even think I had pegs
Nice.
back then, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was like the first like real trick in the streets, and pretty funny now. Like now I'm just driving around town looking for trees to ride on my mountain bike. So it's like
That's trippy. It
that's
comes
where it
full
all
circle
started, and
again.
then
Yeah.
that's where I still like really enjoy and love to ride the most is when I find a really rad tree ride. I'm fucking
Yeah. It's a cool ass obstacle, dude. I can relate. In my neighborhood there was a tree that was kind of perfect. It was like a little mellow ramp and same thing, like tree ride to fakie. I remember I started at one point I was riding a 24-inch front wheel, and then the back wheel went it just shit the bed, and I only had a 20-inch wheel, so I was rocking a 20 and a 24 riding around my neighborhood with the helmet on and doing tree rides to fakie and trying to 180 that bike. And
we started the mullet trend before everyone.
um so then I guess after you're in the that's so cool. I'm like visualizing you and Connor just being young kids, because we all are young kids, if you picture it, you look at you guys when you're shining in your Markit video and you made it this far, like it's easy to be like, oh, they're up there, but we're all just like little kids that like BMX bike. It's such a trip.
Dude, for sure. We were like the smallest of small town. Like, dude, the town I grew up in when I was a little kid, there was two red lights like in the whole town. Like it was such a small town, but I don't know why. And like strangely enough, I just found out like a month ago, Connor sent me a link that his dad found on Facebook. There's like a BMX racetrack in our town in the 70s. And I'm
Hmm.
like, I mean, maybe it's just a random thought that I'm correlating on my own, but I'm like, it's so weird that there was a sick BMX track in our town. And then when I grew up, there was like 20 or 25 kids that rode BMX, like between all ages, from like me being in third grade to the older kids in eighth grade. And like, I don't know why, but like maybe there's something in the fucking dirt out there or whatever. But like there was a lot of BMX riding happening in what I would consider a very small town off the beaten path that nobody even fucking knows about. So yeah,
Is this small town, this is in California you
yeah,
grew up?
it's called Moraga. It's little suburban town back in the hills. Like you go over the hill and you're like in Oakland and Berkeley. Um, but yeah, super small town area. Like there wasn't any skate parks back then. We were just building dirt jumps and riding bank to walls and trees, you know.
Sick. So Connor was your first BMX homie that, you know, right?
For sure.
Basically.
Like the first like proper, like I had a couple friends I rode around with, but like I met Connor at my middle school. I was riding off picnic tables and he was like riding around also, and his mom worked at the school. And I remember we are just like, oh, you want to ride? And like we just rode around the school and just looked for shit to like ride our bikes off of and like jump
Sick.
stuff,
Yep.
whatever. And then I remember like looking up his number in the phone book of like the La Marinda, which is like the three towns in our area. So it gave us the numbers of like the kids in the other school. And I remember like cold calling him one day, like, "You gonna
Cold
ride?"
calling him.
Like,
Hey Connor, it's Christian. I was wondering if you wanted to go ride bikes, dude.
I was that kid that you were riding off picnic tables with. Like,
It's amazing how fun it was back then to just drop off of stuff. It's so exciting, like
dude, we didn't
that's
have any references. Like, I didn't have any videos back then or anything, so I didn't know even what you could do on a BMX bike. So
yeah.
riding off shit just seemed pretty straightforward.
When did you get into seeing what was possible and like seeing videos and getting more inspired and starting to be like, oh shit, I kind of want to do this?
I think it was, I mean, not too far in, like maybe like within like a year of riding. I remember my local bike shop, I bought made it primo, made in Taiwan, which is on VHS, like Castillo, Taj, Wessel, Nate Hansen, like really like what's his name? Why am I fucking spacing? Bako, DeGroot, like it
Yeah,
had every type of riding in that video. And now I look back and I'm like, fuck, that was a great video to be my first one, because like after that I built a flatland bike. Like I was trying everything once I saw what these dudes
sick.
were doing. And like, yeah, like Taj has been a huge inspiration since then. So it's like that was my first video. And then Etnies Forward was my second video. I remember going to the bike shop and there was like a pre-order for it. and like the shoes were just coming out, and like that era of like BMX is my favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, between Made in Taiwan and Etnies Forward, those were the videos that like really like showed me what pro riders were doing. And then from that I started like watching X Games and like following riders and like becoming a fan of everything. But before that, I was just like, to me, the riders in my town were the pros. Like
Yeah.
they were like, those are the dudes I idolized and looked up to, because I didn't even know what was beyond that. You know, BMX to me was what I saw within my town and within those riders. And then once I saw those videos, I'm like, holy shit, like there's skate parks and contests and like these pros, and like that was where it all changed for
This is a
sure.
whole thing, you know?
Yep.
What was your first trip outside of your small town with your bike?
Um, I definitely did a couple of San Diego trips. One of the local riders that I grew up riding with, an older dude that one of the guys I idolized, like he moved to San Diego, and I remember going down there to stay with him because I heard about the crazy Claremont skate park, and that was like those were like the MySpace days where like I knew about Dennis because of MySpace, because he was this like 13-year-old kid in San Diego that was like fucking killing it at the skate park.
Yeah.
Um, so I knew about the scene out there. I remember seeing like the Biketoberfest contest videos, and it's like Wong Tran, Chris Hervan, Steve Woodward, Dennis, like all these dudes. I'm like, these dudes live here and ride this park every day. Like, I have to come down there and visit. Like at the time, like I don't think, or I guess I think I might have been to Woodward already. So I met a couple pros there, but like in at home, like I think I saw Nyquist like brother one time at a skate park, and I think I saw Joey Cobbs one time at a skate park, but like I never really like brushed shoulders with any pros. And then when I went to San Diego, I'm like, holy shit, like you come to this skate park on any given day and you could just ride with these dudes.
Yeah, it's so
Um,
wild. It's cool you
yeah,
mentioned
so
Wong Tran, dude. I love the old videos of Wong, dude. He was ahead of
oh,
his time with all the nose mails, and his
for
style
sure.
is so
Dude,
fucking
Wong
sick.
and Tammy, like there's like
Yeah.
obviously like Stephen Hamilton, and there were dudes like doing nose manuals before them, but I swear those Wong and Tammy were the first dudes to like do it to distance. Like, and that Caleb kid, Caleb
Caleb
Kwame.
Kwonbeck. Yeah, I remember.
But I remember like Wong and Tammy were pushing a lot of tricks back then that no one was doing, and that
I'm
whole San
trying.
Diego scene, man, very very unique dynamic over there of extremely talented and diverse riders that
Yeah.
all collectively met at the skate park. Still, those days aren't around anymore. Where like riders from all different walks of life would all meet at the park, and like there was a strong scene there, and then the session was done and we're all chilling in the parking lot, drinking, smoking, hanging out for like hours, you know, like
Yeah.
definitely miss that dynamic. But yeah, those are
Give
very,
D. That was just thinking in my
yep,
brain, like, what was the scene? It was Give D,
yeah,
dude. Shout
yeah.
out Kyle
They're
and
like
Wong and all them.
co-sponsored by like Odyssey, and like yeah, they had a
Yeah,
cool thing going
it was a
back then.
cool ass crew. And then
Yeah,
I think Kyle was like chainless at that point.
yep,
Let me.
yeah,
I gotta pause real quick. Let's
no
see.
worries.
Give D. Shout out to Kyle. I'm trying. I have this clip in my mind that I'm picturing. It was like one of the first nose mail to 180, and it's like on the island at I
Yep,
think probably Claremont. Was it Wong or Tammy? Or probably both of them did it. I think it was Wong.
yeah, I think it was Wong. But yeah, a lot of iconic historic shit happened back then,
Yeah. So
daily
this
basis.
this kind of and so what kind of riding were you doing at that point when you're going to the skate park? Because you seem like you, I don't know. From what I understand, you were, a park kid and you learned all the tricks, and then eventually over time, like a lot of pros do, you kind of find your niche. What were you like back then going to the skate park
Totally.
with all them?
Yeah, so right before I moved to San Diego, I was working at Woodward for a couple summers, and I was definitely like gyro, two pegs, like 450 bar, like bar to tuck, like
Sick.
um did a few tail whips. But like yeah, I was definitely more like transition, but I always rode street, like just from when I was a little kid. But yeah, like I remember, I think by the time I moved to San Diego, I was brakeless, and I was riding like a Fit Aiken S3. And
Damn, I haven't heard that frame in so long. That's
oh
such a good
yeah,
one. Yeah,
and like
classic.
full like multiple different colors, spray painted raw, just like pieced together from like homies' bikes, like maybe a
Hmm.
couple parts from Dennis's old bikes, just like full, like, you know, do what I can, take what I can to make it work.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, I think right when I moved down to San Diego, I stopped at Volume and Demolition and picked up my first package of demolition stuff. And then, yeah, so once I got to San Diego, like brakeless, still doing park riding, but like definitely getting more into street. And then I started like, I remember like learning lucky grinds and starting to like do more handrails and stuff like that. Like I was pegless for a long time. I remember I'd come visit Dennis and I did a pegless handrail. And I remember he was like tripping out on that.
He's like, dude, you don't have pegs.
I was definitely like, I was like pegless guy forever, super heavily like Garrett Burns influenced, like front foot pedal grinds, back foot pedal grinds, switch
Sick.
regular, like everything, pedal 180, like pedal 270, like all about pedal grinds.
Did you
And then
ever get front pedal to hard 180?
I didn't even know what a hard 180 was back then. I was
Nice.
only like easy 180 or like switch grind, regular 180s.
Yeah.
And then I put pegs on, and that's when I think my brakes came off like pretty quickly after I put brakes on. But I remember going to like a local ledge in town and I learned like feeble hard 180s. And then strangely enough, I did a ice hard 180, and this isn't like fuck like 2006 or
That's
7.
early for ice
And
hard.
like honestly, like there's probably somebody else that was doing it, but like it wasn't a trick like that anyone was
Yeah.
doing. I don't know how I did it, and I've only probably done 3 in my life,
You
so
just
that was
just
one of them.
happen to do an ice
It just
hard on a
it just
flat
worked.
ledge.
Like I
That's
did a few.
oh,
I learned feeble hard 180, and then I was like, oh cool, and then I tried it with the ice pick, and then it just worked.
that's amazing.
So I got like hooked on grinding, and I learned lucky grinds, and then just like, yeah, after that I was like full like street dog. And then I remember I rode for Mankind for a while, and I was still like pretty proper, still riding ramps, but definitely like leaning more into the street stuff. And then after that, I quit and I got a volume frame, and I was filming and riding a lot with Jason Ends and those dudes. And then from riding with Ends, I was like, I want 4 pegs. Like grinding's dope. I want to be able to do everything
Yep.
on the other side. And then pretty much from that time on, I think I rode that volume frame for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months. And then still crazy to me. Corey Martinez messaged me on Twitter and asked me if I was riding for volume. And I was like, no, like they just hooked me up with a frame to ride, but I don't ride for them. And he's like, oh, like, would you ever want to ride for United?
Ooh.
Like, holy shit, like, fuck yeah.
Holy shit.
And yeah, then I got on United and pretty much straight on, like, got to start like traveling with them and doing stuff. And I think within like a year they started paying me, and that's kind of how my professional career in BMX started. It was all from Corey messaging me on Twitter and
That's
getting me
fucking
on
awesome, dude. Yeah.
United.
God, what a OG Corey is. So let's go over your like sponsor history. I know you kind of just did, but you mentioned earlier you picked up a volume package and a demolition package. What was first? Mankind, volume, demolition?
Yep, demolition was first. I remember like before I moved down south, I was like emailing like I don't even think it was Moeller. I think it was like maybe just general S&M website, but I made like a sponsor me tape, like proper, like this is a
Nice.
back in the day shit. Like nowadays kids are probably like sponsor me tape. Like what the fuck? Like back then, like you literally like had to make a video and like send the fucking CD or whatever it was. I was CD before me. It was probably a VHS tape, but like
Yeah.
you send the CD. Like I worked on a little video with this little kid that was from San Diego who was down to like film some stuff and like cut it together for me. And I don't know if I ever actually got that footage to the hands of S&M, but I really was trying to ride for S&M back then. But I got it to Brian Castillo, I think thanks to Dennis and Connor, because Connor was the first one to have the volume and demolition hookup. He
Okay,
got in
nice.
there, and then he got Dennis on, and then between both of them, uh, I think Brian saw my little video I made, and he started hooking me up. So demolition was first, and then I got on Mankind. And then in the midst of both of those, Losi started hooking me up with Nike 6.0.
Damn.
And
Sick.
then, yeah, from Mankind, yeah, it went into United. And then I pretty much rode for United and Demolition, and Nike
Forever.
for a lot, yeah, all the way until Nike was done. And then I got on Etnies and I rode for Etnies for like 8 or 9 years, I think.
Fuck yeah.
And then, yeah, I think Demolition kind of dwindled away at like once Brian Castillo left the company, and I obviously wasn't really riding and pushing myself like I used to be. Like that kind of went away. But even to this day, I still ride for United. I built up a terrible one barcode not too long ago, and
Yeah, the mid or the 2000s. What'd you call it?
it's
Mid
like a
school.
it's like a
Mid
mid
school.
school
Yeah.
hybrid because it's like
I was geeking on that bike, dude. It was like bringing back so many memories. It's so
thank
sick. Tell
you.
us about it.
Yeah, so I, like pretty much just have my one street bike, and my riding's changed a bit. I'm not bombing fucking handrails and grinding off roofs anymore.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to build a bike that felt better for park riding and for dirt jumping. Dude, I used to be a dirt rider. I won't ride dirt on my BMX bike anymore because I'm brakeless and I'm fucking sketchy. Now I just ride my mountain bike on them. So I've been like missing that feeling, and like skate parks are dope when they have the right fun little street jibs, but like I want to ride the bulls, I want to ride everything, but my bike's never been set up good for it. So I said, fuck it, I'm going to build a new bike that's good for that. I had a T1 barcode as a kid. I always sweated T1 and
Yeah.
Raj and Joe Rich. So like I found a 2017 barcode, and I wanted to build it with a perfect mix of like the old mid school nostalgic parts that I like had as a kid or always wanted, but I didn't want it to be a tank and I wanted it to ride proper. So yeah, I built that up, and strangely enough, through like building that bike, I got addicted to mid school bikes and collecting, and now I'm like a fucking diehard mid school collector.
Sick.
I've got an obnoxious amount of frames and bikes that I'm collecting and building, and it
Yeah,
all started
dude.
with me building that one bike.
When you posted that one, I'm zooming in on my phone, like looking at, like, oh my God, I remember. But was it? I think it was. You put power bites on it, the
Yep.
cranks.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
got power bites like McNeil bash guard sprocket, like the
So
T1
sick.
pegs, the ramp pegs, like all I hit all the nostalgic feels with that.
Yeah.
And
So sick, dude.
and
I
that was the
love it.
goal, because I'm like, man, like I cherish and miss those mid school days of BMX. Like mid school is generally like 1992 to 2005 is like what they'd call mid school. And like for me, like the videos I watched the most, the riders that inspired me the most, like that's the time frame that I'm like most you know,
Nostalgic for.
yeah, nostalgic to,
Yeah.
and relates to me the most. So
Because that's when you're in your impressionable years. I feel like from, like age 10 until 16 or 18, you're like, everything is so sick, whatever you're getting into. And I remember scrolling through Dance Comp and just geeking out over bike parts, which I would never do now. Like I don't care about,
oh yeah,
looking at new bike parts. But yeah, I remember being so stoked on just the actual bike. Now I don't care. It's like a tool, but
for
it's cool you
sure.
found that passion to like get into collecting them. How many have you built up at this point?
Well, I haven't actually built any of them yet. I've like compiled, I've got all the parts, I've gotten frames painted, I got new decals, like I have them all ready to build, but I've been waiting. I just moved into a new house. So I'm gonna start that. But all my friends are gonna make fun of me because I told them when I started, I'm like, I'm only building 5 bikes, like the 5 like special bikes that I had as a kid or I always wanted. And now it's spiraled a bit. Um, but
Spiral.
uh, it'll probably be like 10 bikes that I build that are like, super special. Like I either had one as a kid and I've repainted and decaled and built it exactly how I had it, or it's the bike that like my homie had that I never got or something like that. So I'm
Dope.
just like, it's fun, man. I love it. Like I'm hunting around online trying to find all these parts and the right stickers, and like networking with all these people and connecting with old BMX homies that maybe we haven't really like talked much about, but like now we're like chatting again, and I'm buying old bikes off of them or whatever. It's been fun, man. I love BMX so much, and it's cool to tap into this whole other side of like, it's
Just
not
being a
like the
collector.
industry side, it's like just a bunch of other people that are really passionate about this, but like
Yeah.
they're not like sponsored. Like some of them are, it's cool to come across some names of dudes that like were, super legendary, and now they're like Shad Johnson, obviously like big time
Yeah, yeah.
and all that. But it's like, a lot of these dudes are just like about BMX because they love it, and they weren't like sponsored riders or pro riders. But it's
I just
cool to
love
like
it.
connect with all these different sides of BMX now that I've been kind of in all of them, like over
Yeah.
the
Is there a white whale of yours that there's a part or a frame or a sticker or something that you just can't find?
There's one frame that's really high. I call it my unicorn frame. It's a 1998 Terrible One barcode. There's only 100 of them made by Spooky Dave, who's like famous, well-known welder back in the day. He did like the first runs of like kink frames, some metal frames, T1 frames, and maybe a couple others, but no one wants to get rid of it. Like if you have one, like you're
Yeah.
keeping it.
It's
But
like a
I
Pokemon card, dude. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
my
But I've been
holographic
like tracking
Charizard.
tracking down these other really, really rare frames to trade for that. So I'm confident I'm gonna fucking get one. But
Hell yeah.
um yeah, that's definitely my unicorn frame. But a frame that I never would have ever imagined that somehow I have is this guy, which some people might recognize, but it's, well, you need to see this side. It's Taj's
Oh
actual
shit.
frame that he paid. This is the last Hoffman frame that he rode, his Taj frame in 97 before he started Terrible One. And he painted this, hand painted this on here, counting down to what would
Yeah.
have been T1. So this is literally the frame that was like the first like
Whoa.
iconology like that led to the start of Terrible One. So like for me, as like a diehard Taj fan, Terrible One fan, I had a Hoffman Flash which he rode for a little bit, which has the same like kind of wishbone design. Like it's the craziest thing ever that like
That's
he gave me
special.
the frame, and it's one of the most historic like frames that I would consider in mid school BMX for anybody that's into Taj or T1 or anything. So
That's
I'm
super
gonna build
dope.
that bike up exactly how he rode it, and that's gonna be a very fun project. But
Fuck yeah, dude. That's amazing.
yeah,
Man. I'm looking at it and this is before integrated what's it called? Integrated headset
yep.
in the frame. Like you gotta get the dude, it makes me think of like King headsets,
Oh yeah,
all that shit, dude. It's
those are the
trippy.
sickest ones. They're still really fucking expensive.
Yeah, they're the shit. And then profile stuff. Yeah,
Oh
man.
yeah, yeah.
That's
All that. That's
badass.
like, dude. The stuff that's the most popular and is the dopest is like all the old American made, like all the old S&M stuff, all the old standard stuff, T1, like Hoffman, like everything American made from back in the day is like,
It's the
it's
shit.
funny, like without knowing, I had really good fucking taste as a kid. Like all the stuff that I had or wanted is now like, fucking what, 20 years, 25, or no, I guess, yeah, up to like 25 years later, it's still the dopest, like most desirable stuff. So
That's
it's funny
dope.
to think I'm like trying to track down this old shit. I'm like, damn, like why is this stuff so expensive? I'm like, fuck,
You
it's
like
like
the good
aged,
shit, man. You
it's
had a good
aged
eye.
well, yeah.
Let's see. I want to know. So we mentioned earlier, like, let's talk about how you met. So Dennis, you met through MySpace. He's just a 13-year-old shredder from down there. What about Chad? How'd you meet Chad?
So I would go stay with Dennis often, and he would come stay with me. And that we went to a real ride contest, which was turned into the compound in Riverside. And Chad was there on a little two hip Playboy. Like I don't even know if it was a 20-inch, maybe it was an 18. He was just this like little kid shredding the dirt jumps. I want to say he was riding like, I don't know if it was the pro set, but he was definitely riding like the bigger set than any other fucking kid his size. And I don't think we ever even really like chatted much at that. I just could tell like him and Dennis knew each other from racing or whatever.
Hmm.
That was my first time I saw him. And then just from riding Claremont, he'd be that little kid at the park. I remember he had a free coaster and a gyro, and his bike was way too big for him. And he'd be doing bar spins, and the bike would be landing before his hands were on the bars, but he was fucking doing them.
Hell yeah.
And I had just started, like me and Dennis bought a VX 2000. I was 17, Dennis was 15. And that was right at the same era where I was at the skate park and started seeing Chad. And ended up just filming a video of Chad. And that was the first video that I ever filmed, edited, and got paid for. And it was a vital video, and I got $300 for it. And I was
Dude, that's huge
like,
back then, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, like I can make like money, like filming, like this is fun and I enjoy it and like I can do this. And like I think maybe like I got paid for some random footage of Dennis before that, but like never like edited anything. It was just like, hey, film this and we'll buy the footage or whatever. So I think like doing that and like the process of it like got me hooked.
Hell
And
yeah.
yeah, that's what it all. It's funny. Like I've definitely mentioned it multiple times on Instagram, but like I've lost track of. I think I've done at least like 13 video parts or something with Chad since we started, and like he's the one that started my career, and
That's
I just
badass.
did this rock star part like last year, and I'm like, fuck, it's crazy. Like we're still
How
doing
far you've
this.
come from the
Yeah,
VX 2000. What's that
yeah.
video called? How can people
It's
watch that one?
It was just a Vital video that just played. It's probably gone now because I think
Yeah, Vital
Vital
died.
like player or whatever went to shit. But I still have a file of the video somewhere, but it's so bad. Like the worst cleared. Like I could have made a better song like with my eyes closed and not knowing what I'm doing than the
But
song
they
without
have you
me.
go through
But
a
like
corporate library
back
of
then it
like,
was real bad. But and like some like Red Bull girls that were handing out drinks at the skate park did like a little like, oh, this is Chad Curley on Vital BMX. It was so bad. But like
that
the
sounds
writing
amazing.
spoke for itself and he was fucking a little mini. And yeah, like it was videos like that that helped like him get on the radar of like low C and premium and everything. So
Yeah. Damn,
um
that's wild to think about. So that was my next question is like, how do you get into filming? And it sounds like you got the VX 2000 and then started and then off to
yeah,
the races.
I credit it all to Dennis. You know, like I'd go down to San Diego and ride with those guys, and like they were doing crazy shit every day. Like I was the guy that would roll up to something 30 times and not do it. And then I was like, fuck, if I had a camera, like if I was gonna film this and if I at least ate shit and I had a clip for it, like I'd go for it, you know?
Yeah.
Think filming is what changed my whole mindset on riding because I was literally that guy that wouldn't get myself to do anything. So the second I got a camera, I was like, fuck, I can push myself just like these guys do because now I have like a external motivation for it.
Yeah. Same. I can
So
relate to that big time. As soon as
yeah,
filming got brought into it, I was like, oh, I want to go harder, and
exactly.
that's the move. That's
Yeah.
what's
So
up.
thanks to Dennis. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, Dennis's career trajectory, like from him riding for Nike and Matador and all these crazy companies. Like, I was like the guy in his corner there to film it all.
That's so sick.
So, like, without even really knowing, like, I just had all the pieces to the puzzle to get my foot in the door. And then, I mean, yeah, start with Dennis. You can go anywhere from there. I got really lucky to just be submersed in that scene,
Yeah.
like through the amount of talent. Like I didn't even have to leave San Diego, and I
Nope.
could have a full-time job filming. You know, like between the spots and the riders that we had,
That's so
I
sick.
had made out there. So like I don't know. I feel the stars really aligned for me. Like I didn't have much going on, got kicked out of school, hated school, didn't have a job I liked. I was like, tried to go to college and to do my GE, but I didn't know what to do. It was like literally, I was just following the steps that people tell you you're supposed to follow. And luckily, all the puzzle pieces fell into place and I ended up doing what I needed to be doing. Because
Well,
if I was supposed to follow the path that everybody else did, I probably would have been a burnout. Like, sadly, a few of my friends were in my town that never got out and never did anything. So,
yeah. So
yeah,
let's not brush over. You got kicked out of school. What the fuck? What happened? What'd you do?
yeah. I was ahead of the curve. I was
Too smart?
recreationally distributing medical marijuana at a young
My
age
guy.
of 17.
He was a businessman, dude. It's entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I don't recommend that to anybody. That was probably one of the lowest points of my life, just getting in trouble and getting kicked out of school and putting my parents through all that. So
I
definitely
tried that line of work for a little bit and I sucked at it, dude. I ended up losing money. I had to be like, Dad, I need $1,000 or else I'm in trouble.
yeah, yeah, not the best. But honestly, like I'm a firm believer that all things happen for a reason. I hate that it had to happen like that, but me getting kicked out of high school early, I was couple months into my junior year. I was already older for my grade too, so like I just took the GED and then busted my ass working at a local pizza place in town for a year to save up enough money to where I could move to San Diego and like have enough of a cushion to to live for a
Nice.
year while I figured out a job. And my parents told me if I went to college, they'd help me with rent. So I said, fuck it, I'll go for it. I think I lasted one semester in college and then realized that I could make some money filming. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to go for it. And
Fuck yeah, dude. That's the move.
yeah, I'm glad I did because yeah, like I said earlier, I'm not a guy that's good at working. Like I'm glad I worked a 9 to 5. Like I know what it's like to work like 40-hour weeks and be on that schedule and have a boss. I think it instilled the right things in me at a young age, and I took that and then did my own thing. But I'm glad I've at least worked that because I feel like there's some kids that have had pro careers that came and went and they never even had that like moment of time to like be a normal human and work and all that. And I think it makes it a lot harder to get a job
Yeah.
after you pro if you never knew what it was like to like do that grind. So
Right.
I'm grateful to have that experience. I know what it's like and I never want it again. So I'm gonna keep busting my ass to be my
I'm
own boss.
I'm super curious because like living in California is expensive, and working at a pizza shop, I can't imagine you're like making a bunch. But what was your, if you don't mind sharing it, I don't think this is too personal, but like what was your goal to save up to move to San Diego? Like what was your safety cushion number? Like how much? Like
That's a
five
good
grand?
question. I was making $10 an hour, which at the time was a lot for being I was like a delivery driver. Like I'd work 4 hours in the morning, I'd go ride midday, and then I'd work 4 hours at night and I'd get tips.
So $80 a day plus tips, and then
Yeah.
just save it up.
I want to say I might have had like, I don't know, like a couple $1,000 like or something. Like my
Fuck
rent
it, that's
was,
enough.
I think
Yeah,
my rent was $300.
dude, I
And
miss
I
those
was like
days.
fully
Yeah,
eating like, back then burritos costed like $4. So like I was like super cheap, back then, like sleep on the floor wherever I can, eat at the bare minimum, like we were like full BMX, like scraping to get
yep,
by back then, but it was kind of normal.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I think I might have had a couple $1,000 just like with hopes of like, all right, I'll find a job within a couple of months, hopefully while I'm down there. But I think I maybe had a 6 month cushion of like
nice.
I can pay my rent and eat cheap and not go anywhere. I wasn't really
Yeah.
traveling or anything, but
So
yeah,
you
different day and age.
sold oh sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. I was just saying, like nowadays, like a couple $1,000 ain't
Doesn't
getting
go very
shit.
far. Yeah, it's wild, man. I don't know if it's because like we get older and you like have more responsibility and expenses, or because dude, I remember I was paying $200 for rent, living in a room in a BMX house, and maybe spending 10, $15 a day on food. But I was smoking cigs. I was spending $8, $9 a day on that, but
Oh yeah,
still like scraping by, living that life, dude. I love it. And you sold a video to Vital. Was that your first taste of like, okay, oh shit, I could do it? Because I think I can relate to that so hard. Because I remember Crooked World, ESPN. There was that couple period of years where people were getting paid to submit BMX videos to these websites, and
yeah,
it's like that came and went, but I'm glad
for
I got a
sure.
little taste of it. It was so exciting to be able to like, I was in college and I got to tell my professor like, yeah, I've sold a couple of videos to ESPN, like
Yeah,
so
yeah.
even though it's just the ESPN like bike blog through Tunny.
Hey,
Who all did you get to sell some videos to? Because you're surrounded
um,
by all the best riders. So what did you do? Vital? Did you do?
yeah, it was a lot of Vital videos back then. I wasn't like a staff whatever, but like it was pretty consistent. I did a lot. Um, and then just like random sponsor videos from the people around town. Like I remember my first like proper video I did with somebody that was like really like out of my like scene or whatever. It was like Stefan Lanchner came to town. I met him riding for Nike 6.0. They did like a weird like partners in crime like
I
project
remember
while
that.
came to town, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like a part of that. And I met Stefan. And then I think Dennis also knew Stefan from Nike stuff. So like Stefan came out to San Diego and like I filmed a video of him for Carhartt. And that was when I just got an HD camera. And that was like my first project where I was kind of like, oh shit, like this guy's like flying to San Diego and I'm gonna like make this video and
Yes.
put the sponsor logos in it and everything. I was like kind of stressing. But I remember that being like kind of like a pivotal point for me, doing that and like yeah, switching to HD and
What was
everything.
your first HD camera?
It was a HPX 170,
Yep.
same same camera I shot the Markit video with, but I eventually progressed to having a HPX 250 and a 170. But yeah, just normal, like, you know, what was it, 1280, 720, just like
Yeah,
normal, like 60p, like,
the most minimal HD that it's like barely technically HD, 1280 720, dude. I
yeah,
remember those days.
for sure. But yeah,
That's
that's the camera that started it all, and I pretty much rocked that Panasonic setup all the way until the end of the Markit video. And like, yeah, whale eye, two Panasonic zoom cameras, and dabbled with a 660D DSLR for a while for second angles, but I never understood how a DSLR worked, and aperture and shutter speed and all that shit. Like, all the footage from that camera was completely garbage. It was all like
because you
auto
didn't
and
know
like
what you were doing.
fucked up. So I like got rid of that thing and just bought another. I was in Russia, and we were very, very heavily liquored up. And this dude's like, I got an HPX, I'll sell you. And I'm like, fuck it, like, I'll buy it. And I remember the next morning I woke up and I'm like, fuck, I think I just bought another camera last night. It was like a $500 camera. It was the best mistake, or the best decision I ever made, because then I had two of the same cameras. And then for filming, like, all the homies knew how to use that camera. Like, it
Yeah,
was straightforward and easy. So like, that was the best thing. So like, the whole Markit video got upgraded because now there's always two real angles instead of like one still shot and
right.
one zoom angle. So like, that was great because Chad was good at filming, Rob was good at filming, Dennis was good at filming. Like, I always
Everybody.
Connor was good at filming. Like, those dudes, I always used to joke back then, is those dudes are better filmers than a lot of filmers were
Yeah.
without even trying, because they were there to film some of the gnarliest shit ever, and you couldn't really fuck it up.
Yep. The
I,
pressure's on. You better do good, you know?
yeah, I
Yeah.
put a lot of trust in those dudes, and they all crushed it for me. I still to this day feel more comfortable filming with a rider that films than just a straight filmer, because I feel like you just relate with them on that level where like they're not going to do you dirty when,
Yeah.
like, on the angle or like whatever. Like, they know what that shit looks like when they're the rider. So I always,
Exactly. And there's certain angles to film tricks at that make the trick look so much better. And I don't know, it's not like they're hard, fast rules, but there's a couple of rules in filming BMX tricks. Like, I don't know, for me, 360s down a stair set, there's a specific side that I think it looks best on. Do you have anything like that you have nitpicky about filming BMX tricks and any particular rules?
um trying to think. I know there's definitely some like cardinal sins back in the day, but I'm trying to think of like what now. The zoom fish, not down.
Not that.
The sideways fish, wasn't into that.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
Cardinal
this
sins.
is just my personal opinion. I'm sure I've done plenty of things that people weren't into, so take it with a grain of salt. But I remember those two
Of
things
course.
I wasn't super into. And then I don't know, like, yeah, I feel like sometimes people just cut in extra shots just to cut them in, but like,
Yeah,
I
for
always
no
try and
purpose.
have purpose behind all my, like, if I have like two lead-ins, like, I'm using those two lead-ins to show the fucked up run up and the speed of it or something like that. But sometimes I feel like people are just trying to cut to the music and just cut shit in there just to cut it in there. But I try and be very
Yeah.
purposeful in anything that I do, and don't have to rely on showing the trick multiple times if you can show the run in and the run out, and like complete everything. Like, okay, there's an uphill run up, show that, and there's a fucking pole on the run out, show that, but I don't need to like show the trick four times to like tell
Yeah.
that story.
Big time.
So I just try and be, I learned over the years from being a grom and filming to like thinking about the editing side of it while you're filming. And I think that
Yeah.
was a huge thing. Like, okay, like, this person's blowing past the camera from right to left. So then the next angle needs to also be from right to left. I don't want to switch 180 degrees to the other side and then
Yeah.
fucking with your eyes that they're like coming by like that, And it's just little things like that, that if you start to think ahead and you already know how it's going to cut together, it's going to look so much more seamless and better. And those are just the things that you learn as a kid or like whatever,
It's
whenever.
wild that you learn that on your own through experience, because that's the type of shit that they sit down and like will give you a textbook on, when they teach you film school. Like, that's the right to left and making it not uh not fuck your brain up while you're trying to watch it, and you're just like, wait, he was just over there, like that
Yeah, totally.
makes
And it's
sense.
like I'll go back and watch some stuff now and I'm like, oof, like
Yeah.
before I knew that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, I mean I watched a lot of skate videos. I took a lot of inspiration from them and how they did it. And that was pretty much my textbook, was just watching other videos. And then fuck, I was never afraid to hit up a skate filmer and ask them a question about their gear or whatever, So
Hell yeah.
yeah,
That's what's up.
it's come a
Um,
long way.
and now you're filming mountain bike shit. I mean, not designated, but I know you did a project with Mr. Semenuk. Maybe more than one project with him. How much different is it filming mountain biking than it is filming BMX?
It is very different. I remember when I first started filming mountain biking, I genuinely had hopes of coming in and being able to really do something different with the filming of it. And it's so hard to like, you have to work around the elements. Like I can have as much desire and drive to like make an angle look something different, but like if you're filming on a trail that's got 6 feet of bushes on both sides, like you can only see the trail from the front or from the back or overhead, So it's,
Yeah.
I might want to be here, but like I can't see anything. So it's like there's so much of it that's uncontrolled where it really makes you have to scratch your head of like, how the fuck do I document this to where it's going to truly show what's going on and not take away from the speed, the steepness, the gnarliness, whatever. Like you go to a stair set and like you said, like what you like and what looks good. There's not like there might be like a garbage can in the way or a pole or whatever, but for the most part you're a little more, there's elements, uncontrolled elements, obviously cars parked there that weren't supposed to be, whatever. Each of them have their own things, but definitely a lot harder to shoot mountain biking in that sense. And then also like BMX, like there's times where light's been a consideration, but for the most part, if you're feeling it, you're feeling it, and you're fucking filming the clip. And we meet up in the morning and we ride and shoot until dark.
Yeah.
Mountain biking, we only shoot in good light. Like
Huh. Yeah.
only early morning, only evening, or if it's overcast all day, then you're hyped. You can shoot all
Yeah.
day. But like the riders themselves also are not into disco light, spotty, hot spots, all that shit. So
Yeah.
refreshing in that sense, where I think the riders in mountain biking care and have more interest in the filming side because they know like what looks good also,
Dope.
which is awesome because like I've definitely, even in my like these last couple projects I did in BMX, like I filmed a really gnarly line of Chad in his rockstar part. He does like nose bar, and then like pedals through a hallway. It's all in the shade, and then 10 feet before the stair set, it's like a 14 stair that he trucks. He pops out into the sunlight,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, like, is there any way we could come back in like 2 hours and shoot this? It'll look amazing. But if not, don't feel bad. I'm totally happy to shoot it right now. But if it's something that you'd be okay with doing later, it would look way better. And he's like, honestly, like I'm kind of in the mode right now. Like, let's get it. I'm like, cool, let's get it.
Yeah.
But like,
What'd you end up doing? Did you do a ND filter thing that they do, or
I
just
just
like
found
manually
I just
adjust? Or you found the
with the
happy
like
medium?
with the red and fisheye, there really wasn't anything I could do. I just like tried to like find the little happy medium where it wasn't too overexposed or too dark. And luckily with the red, like dynamic range is pretty good. You
Oh
can
yeah. Are you shooting flat with the red then, obviously?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And that's the whole point. I don't know. For people who don't know, one thing that you said that when I learned, I was like, oh, word, that makes sense. Like when it's overcast, the clouds are providing like a softbox, a natural softbox, so everything looks amazing. And so when I learned that, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like a cloudy day is the best day for filmers. And then also the dynamic range is you explain it. Explain dynamic range to somebody who doesn't understand what filming is.
I mean, I'm like the least technological dude, but it's pretty much like in my very limited knowledge, it's just like I don't even know how to properly explain it, but it's like some cameras are better than others, but it's like being able to like see both sides in like an even light to where like I don't, yeah, honestly, like I
It's
understand it in like whatever, but I don't even know how to explain it. Like it's yeah, like some cameras you can manipulate the colors after, and and everything. But yeah, I don't even know how to properly explain like
But I was so confused when I first learned it, but like, why does it look like shit? It looks so flat. But the point is so that you're not overexposing your highlights and you're not like underexposing the lowlights. So you're getting as much data as possible. And then in post, you can go in and make it look exactly how you want. So instead of having it look good straight out of camera, because if you do that, then like the highlights are blown out or the shadows are too dark. But if you film it flat, like S-Log or whatever, red, whatever they call it there, I'm not the most technological thing, but the whole point is to not have anything be blown out and not underexposed. So it's just like when it looks all flat like that, you get the most data, and then you can edit it and color grade it. And color grading, dude, is a whole fucking, it's a different sport. Like there's
yeah,
people
I
that
don't
make
fuck
a
with
living
that.
just
I,
color grading, dude. I
I
I
pay
don't
my
fuck with it
friends to
either.
do color.
Nice. Smart, dude.
There's
Stick with
color
what
and
you're good at.
titles. I've every title and every video I've ever made in my life is done by Kelly Bolton.
Hell yeah. Shout out Kelly Bolden, dude. And the
Yeah.
market video, like the
Oh yeah.
3D style
Yep.
dope. That's
Yep.
what's up.
Yeah.
That shit
There's
is
things that,
tedious.
yeah, there's things that I'm happy to like learn, but when it comes to like stuff like that, like sound, like proper sound mixing, color and titles, like yeah, I could do it, but I'd rather pay someone who's very good at it
Have a
and
better
spare
product.
myself
Yeah.
the hours of doing a mediocre job when I could just pay them and they could do it properly. So
Yeah, for real. Dude,
like,
speaking of audio, the some of the Brandon Semenuk videos where it just sounds so beautiful, like there's no song, it's just the sound of his bike in the dirt.
yep,
I Do you know like how they did that?
yeah. It's
It's
called paying
Foley.
someone to do your audio.
Yeah, so like
If
it's
you
not audio from the shoot, like especially on this one that I was geeking out on.
sometimes it is,
Yeah.
and
Sometimes it's real audio, but then this dude is taking a ratchet wrench and recording sounds and post and doing Foley art, which is just like faking the sound. And then like it's so trippy. I emailed the guy who made the Brandon Semenuk video. Like I'm zooming in, looking at his bike, looking for a microphone. Like, how does this sound so fucking good? And it's all like just kind of fake. It's put in there and after the fact, like to simulate the sound, and it's I'm up. I was like, that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, there's a very well-known audio guy called Keith White. Shout
That's
out
who
to
I
him.
emailed. Yeah,
Yeah,
Keith White.
Keith
Yeah,
does Keith does all my videos.
fuck
He has
yeah.
a sound library. I mean, I'm not, I can't say for certain, but I want to say that all his sounds are most, or at least the bike noises are from previously recorded bike noises. I'm sure there's some random like dirt dropping and stuff like that he's like done himself, but he's got an audio library. Like I did a mountain bike video recently for a wheel company. They have a very specific driver sound, and I was like, hey, like how's your industry 9 like audio library looking? I shot a lot of drone clips for this video and there's no audio, and he's like, I
Right.
got you're good. So like he's
So
using
sick.
actual audio from other projects that he has that same sound for. um,
That's super dope.
it's night and day difference. But if you go, maybe the general human wouldn't hear it, but Nathan Williams' Why Not part and Chad Curley's last Rockstar Lockdown part, I had Keith do the audio on those. And
Nice. I'll have to go
watch
rewatch those.
if you watch both of those videos and then go back and watch any other BMX video, you will notice the tires rolling out, rolling over rocks. Like it's not, I didn't have the best microphone for Nathan's stuff. Chad's should be a lot better, but yeah, like um, on camera mic as best as I can, eliminating any other like outside noises, and then having him do it. Very noticeable difference in roll-ins, roll-outs, the whooshes on the slow-mos, everything. Like if you
Yeah,
go back and
dude.
watch those, I bet you'll be like, holy shit, like it is way different. And then even before that, like Chad's X Games real BMX part, I put a lav mic on him and I went back with him and we faked a lot of the noises after we shot the clips. So I could
Nice.
cut in, like take out my skateboard noise and cut in just clean audio of him grinding and mandling and stuff. And like,
Dope.
I don't think it was ever acknowledged by any of the judges, but it's like, those are the things to me that like, I know, okay, I've done everything I can to make this
Yeah.
video as good as possible, even though the judges who aren't filmers and editors would probably never know. That's my only gripe with Real BMX is I wish there was a
A filmer
full
judge.
filmer editor in there to be like, hey, you guys should take note of like the effort that was put in on this side of the production that wasn't even acknowledged in other ones. Like,
Yeah.
oh, actually, circling back further to one of your previous questions, one of my big pet peeves in BMX is people that run two angles and they either don't have audio for the second angle or the audio is shit and they leave it. Like, dude, the audio from the first good angle, you can put that on the second one and you can change the pitch of it and
Yep.
make it sound right. Like, if you have good audio for one trick, don't fuck the other angle with shit audio. Use that same audio in there and manipulate it to work. And it
Yep.
always is so weird to me when people put out like a legit ass video part and there's like sketchy audio in there on clips that they already had clean audio for. And I'm like, dude, you have everything right there. You just like missed the boat.
Yep.
That's
Dude, it's
that's one little nerdy thing that like because to me, if you made the most iconic BMX video part ever with no audio, you've
mm-mm.
lost so
I
much
don't
life
like it.
to it. People don't
Yeah.
realize how important the audio is. And that's one thing that I took notice to pretty much like right when I got my red and I started fanning out on like Russell Hogden like skate videos. He was like the New Balance guy. Um,
Okay.
he did that like red direct video with the empty apocalyptic looking LA city. Like I don't know
Oh
if you,
yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the audio in his videos, I was always tripping. I'm like, dude, are you like labbing these guys up? Like, why is the audio so good? And from that day on, this is like 2015 or 16, I think, when I got my red. Like, I was like, dude, audio. I'm putting like I had an external mic and I'd be like setting up my microphone next to the spot. If I'm filming like
Smart.
telephoto down the street, I'm setting up another camera up close just to get audio so I have the natural audio
Yes.
and I just kind of nerded out on that. So that's like one thing that um that's why now I'm like stoked when I get to do BMX stuff because now I take these things that I've learned from mountain biking. Like no one was bringing like sound design into BMX or like some of
Right.
the, like like there wasn't really dudes using like full gimbals and like shooting red and dropping videos in 4K like at the time and like that's the stuff that like I might not have like stayed in the BMX industry
You
like as
pushed it though,
long as
dude.
I would have, but I tried my hardest to bring anything that I learned from outside of it and implicate it into my work to try and elevate at least my projects to the highest possible way, like level that I could,
Yeah.
and at least like contribute that to it, even if I'm not like in the mix, like doing things like I used to be. Like at least I can try and hope to elevate the quality a little bit from the things I've learned outside of the industry. I didn't just like, all right, later, like I'm out, I'm gonna go do this mountain bike thing.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I still love to like come in and now like I don't give a fuck what I get paid for a BMX video. I'd be so hyped to like get paid dog shit money to go film for a week with my homies and make a BMX video.
Yes,
It's
dude.
like I know how to clear the music. I can hang out with my homies. I can like make something really dope in a totally different way than I used to. So like now the tables have turned. We're like now I'm like stoked and I want to do some cool BMX stuff where like I'm not
Fuck yeah.
bothered with like trying to get every penny I can out of these companies because I'm not living off of it like that
Right. Yeah.
anymore. When I was a kid, I'm like, dude, I need to get what like I can't go on this trip to another country and do all this work for $1,500. Like you're no
Right.
shot.
Yeah. For
But
real.
it's cool. The times have changed, and now I can like, you know, try and bring something different to my work just from some experiences outside of the industry.
It's so interesting, like over time you kind of like reach levels of like, okay, so you first get a camera, now you got to figure out like the basic settings of like shutter speed and color or white balance and all that stuff, and then you're like, okay, I'm good, and then you realize like, oh shit, I'm not good, and then you gotta like, and then at a certain level you reach the level of like audio is the most important thing, like you take that for granted, and old videos like full productions from companies just straight up had music and no riding audio back in the day, but at this point, it's so important. Audio really, it's like a subliminal thing, like you don't the viewer doesn't think about it, and especially if you're not a filmmaker, then you don't even think about it, but it like creates the experience and gives it a whole nother level. There's levels to the shit, and you pushed it a lot. I was always curious, I wanted to ask you about when you first got your red, like that costs more than a car. Like, how did you How did you acquire your first red camera?
I took a massive hit and I financed the fuck out of it, and I got
Damn, yeah.
bent over backwards on the interest rate. But I knew I was like, this thing's gonna fucking bone me. But dude, literally, I posted a photo of the camera on Instagram, like just hype that I got it, and like I got a DM from a homie named Caleb, who was an old BMX dude. Who's like, "Yo, like, you want to come shoot desert racing? Like, we need another red shooter. Like, I know you
Boom.
just got it, but I know like you shoot BMX, like you'll be fine." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah." And
Sick.
I got like a real day rate, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is. But I knew at that time that, like I said, this was like 2015. Like, I don't know, it seems like it's not the same nowadays because now every camera is good. But like back then, it was like, you have a red, like you're hired.
Yeah.
Like if you know what you're doing, and not many people had them. A lot of people had access to them for renting them from production companies and stuff. But like if you owned your own red, you're getting the sickest day rate. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, so I just knew like, all right, I love filming BMX, but I'm never going to be able to buy a house or like really like elevate my life or make a real career out of, like, you can make a career in BMX, but like I want like a real career. And I knew that just filming BMX with a zoom camera was never going to do that for me.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just fucking sent it, and I almost like bought myself a nice car. Like I wanted a fucking STI, and I'm like, dude, like you're gonna buy this car, it's probably gonna blow up like all my other friends' STIs, and it's not gonna do anything for me. Or
Not gonna make you money. Yeah.
I can fucking send it on this camera, and it's gonna make me money, and eventually I'll be able to hopefully fucking buy a home. And I'm
How much
so.
was the camera when you financed it?
What
20,
was that?
20. How much was the red when you got it? 25, 30,
It was
40,
like
50?
the whole kit. I think it was like 35.
That's so crazy, dude. $35,000 for a camera.
And
But
I
that's
started with nothing, like I didn't have any lenses or anything. It was like I needed the B mount batteries, the lenses, the cards were like 2,500. Like it was like,
it's
dude,
so crazy.
and
Yeah.
back then it was so annoying too, because when I bought that camera, there was like two reds. And I was like, cool, like red's not like Canon. They're not dropping a new camera every week. Like I can buy this camera and it'll be relevant for like 5 years until I pay it off, and then I can buy another one. And dude, I bought that camera, and 1 year later they started fucking dropping cameras every year. And I'm
Yep.
like, these motherfuckers, like, did exactly what I went to you for because you didn't do it. So my camera became irrelevant very quickly. And luckily I was able to like pay it off quickly, and I upgraded and got another one. But dude, when I upgraded and got my other one, they gave me like fuck, what was it? 5 grand for the body that I paid 20 for. And I'm just like, this is fucked. Like, and
Yeah,
I got
that is
more
fucked.
money trading it back to them than I would have if I sold it.
That's
So
so
like,
fucked. Yeah, it's
yeah,
amazing
it
how it
was,
goes. What is the equivalent in today's world? What's the camera that you think like, oh shit, I need that one? What's the hottest shit right now, do you think?
I have it. I think there's nicer cameras and newer cameras, but to me, the Red Gemini is the best action sports camera. It's got low enough frame rates for me, and the low light is insane. Like for
Nice.
shooting mountain biking at like 120 frames a second in dark woods with no light coming
Yeah.
through, the fucking Gemini crushes. You don't even have to go too gnarly on that low aperture to like get that light, because it's so good. No
Wow.
noise,
Cool.
like no neat video. Like everything I ever shot on my Scarlet Dragon, which was my first camera, I shot a lot of night footage in my BMX career, and everything I shot on my Red was fucked. Like so noisy. My LED lights weren't strong enough for how shit that camera was. And yeah, a lot of my night footage, most of my night footage with my old Red was really bad.
Yeah.
And once I got the Gemini, I'm like, dude, like if I could go back and reshoot all that shit,
Yeah.
he's so hyped. But yeah, to me, there's like the new Raptor, and there's the Komodo, and there's all these other cameras, but I have so many friends that have the nicer ones, and they're still leaning on my Gemini for a
Red
lot of
Gemini.
shots.
I'm gonna look into the Red Gemini. And to explain to people who don't know that when you say noisy, that just means like when it's too dark and you're bumping the ISO in your camera, like it creates this artificial grain, like the footage looks grainy. That's what the noisy shit means.
Some
That's
people
dope.
like that stuff. I remember, I think it was Ennis was like, dude, I love that shit. And I'm just like,
He
I'm
would
like,
say that, dude.
I'm trying to get away from that stuff.
Smoking
But
a
like,
cig. He's like, I love that grainy shit.
yeah, no, there's a time and a place, but yeah, not into the grain. But
I love Tony Ennis, dude. I just saw him. He was out in Arizona with Garrett and Johnny for a little fiend trip, and I got to kick it with them one night at ASU and watch Tony do his thing, filming and kick it. And I just love that guy. I remember some the only other time I've really hung out with him, we were walking down the Vegas Strip at some Nora Cup and just gambling and smoking cigs and casinos. And Tony Ennis is just the dude, you know. He's like the Big Lebowski of
Oh
BMX
yeah,
filming, you know. He's the
for
dude.
sure. I love
Love
Tony.
him.
Always been a huge fan of from his vinyl days of the
Yeah,
Boys and then End Search and then everything he's done Fiend related. Like I love Tony's work. I love Tony, and I think he's got a signature touch to him that is
truly. Yeah,
hand in hand with BMX. I think he's a great dude to keep putting out videos that
yeah,
have that feel. He hasn't like stepped away from his vibe, and I think his
yeah.
vibe has a great place in BMX.
It's so exciting. Every time Fiend is about to drop a video, I'm just like, let's go, dude. I hear they're, doing one this year. I don't know. I asked Garrett, I was like, when is the video gonna be done? And he said, I don't know. Ask that fucker over there. So
That's been the
it's up
that's
to
been
the
the
artist
jam
Tony,
forever.
Yeah. Johnny was telling me like 80% of the shit that he's filmed with Fiend isn't out yet. And I'm like, ooh, I'm
Yeah,
excited, man. That's gonna be dope.
that's awesome.
What's coming up on the horizon for you, Christian Miguel?
Shoot, man, I've got a few BMX projects that still need to come out. I have a Corey Martinez video part, which
Damn.
will likely be his last like Corey part, like long term, like really going in on it part.
Fuck yes.
That's been in the works for the last, I don't want to let the timeline make people think one thing or another because it's not like we've been like filming hard and doing stuff for this amount of time. It's just like from when we started it to where we're at, it's been like 6 years. Um, and then I'm even more embarrassed to say DeMarcus Paul video part is even beyond that amount of time. But that one's fully my fault on why it's not coming out. Like when I lived in San Diego, we were filming. I think we hit the like 5 year mark or 6 year mark while I was still living there. And there's like 16 minutes of footage. It's going to be like a 2 song part with a whole leftovers video part, kind of like Nathan's, like two
Yeah.
videos will come out of it. But it just sucks because like when I was living there, like I feel like Demo was riding and busy and had his family and things were going on. So like it kind of like finishing it wasn't really like too big of a priority. We kind of like let it like there was probably 2 years that went by where we only got like 6 or 7 clips. But then like by the time he finished it, I moved up here, full-time mountain biker, like filming mountain biking and everything. So like now like he's done his part and now it's on me. But like now that when it was before, like I had all the time in the world and I was fully invested on just BMX stuff. And then now the tables turn. He finished his part of it and now it's on me to edit it. And now my whole life's changed. So like I tell him all the time, but I deeply apologize for how long it's taken. But I'm just like, I got so much shit going on that like I really want to like dive into his part and edit it the way that it needs to be edited. And I've been struggling with the songs. Like I love the songs, but like I'm sure you've had it. Like you can
Oh
love a
yeah.
song as much as you want, and then once you go to edit, I'm like, fuck, this is hard. Like
Yeah.
there's songs that I've had that like boom, 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 like everything just drops into place and it just feels so fucking natural. And this one, like the intro of it's really fucking throwing me for a curveball. And
Huh.
I think I've got the intro like to where I'm happy with it, and now it's just like getting these first couple clips in order to where like the song really kicks in. Like that's always the hardest part for me editing a video is I really put a lot of thought into the intro. I want every fucking clip in there to have meaning and make sense. And I probably am making this way harder on myself than I need to because I know I'm really in my head about a lot of shit that no one will ever notice. But I don't
That's what
feel
makes you stand
where
out, though. That sets you apart, dude. That's a good
I
thing.
appreciate it.
It's a
But yeah,
blessing and a curse.
I won't touch the rest of the video until the intro is done because
Word.
my
Yeah.
biggest personal pet peeve is when I've edited a clip into the video and I love where it's at and then it has a better place somewhere else. So like I make
Yeah.
the intro how I want it and then I move on and whatever footage is left, I can use it with the footage. But like it sucks when I'm like, oh, this song, this clip would be so perfect in the intro, but I love it right in front of the clip you know, where it's at. So like
Yeah.
uh, that's one thing that um my hopefully my computer's not going to die. It says it's connected. But yeah, that's like one thing that um I try and just always make sure I have sorted is the intro needs to be done, and then I can move forward. So it kind of sucks because like I could probably get the rest of it like edited really quickly, because once the song kicks in, like that shit's just like boom, boom, boom. But
Yeah.
the intro all fucking loosely. So
It's crazy
yeah,
how that goes, dude. And the
totally.
you can get stuck and then you're just fucked. Like I don't know. I have to step away and be like I don't even know, dude, and then maybe come back in a bit and be fresh. What's your editing process? Have you ever like for Market editing that DVD? What was that like?
Market, I wish I kept a tally. Market was fueled by red wine and spliffs. Um, I literally would like consciously like edit something and make sure I liked it when I'm drinking, when I'm high, and when I'm sober. And if
Yep.
I could watch the sections in all states of mind and be happy with it, then I was good and
Then
I
it's
moved
good.
on.
Yeah.
I pretty much locked myself in my room for 2 months straight and edited that video. And yeah, like I'd edit until I couldn't anymore and I'd call it a night. And then I'd wake up the next morning, fresh eyes, fresh mind. And if I could watch it, nothing like stood out to me and bugged me, then
Yeah.
I was hyped on it. And I still think to this day I can go back and watch that video and just watch it and not pick it apart, because I felt that I did my due diligence on it and
Yep.
I'm happy with it. And I'm that to me is like the best reward for my work. Like obviously the earlier stuff is I was so like such a grom, like it's hard to be like super proud of a lot of it, but like from like the Market days and like beyond that, like I can watch most of that stuff and be I'm like, cool, I probably would have cut it the same way now. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm happy with how it went together, and I think I did a job that justified the writer and the song and everything. And yeah, I try and just like I edit until I hit a roadblock, and if it's really fucking with me, I usually just chill and like maybe a day, maybe a couple of days, whatever, and then I come back and then I like get back into it, and I feel that that works way better. Like, so I've never really liked the like I did a lot of film contests over my career, and
Yeah.
I love them, but the whole like, all right, we're done filming, we have one night to edit, like that shit I always like, dude, it was so hard for me because I knew it could be so much better, but you had to just like get it done. So
Right.
I never liked editing under a deadline, because those are the projects that I look back on and like they'll never hit the same way or feel the same way, just knowing that I
Right.
feel like I didn't do everything I could to make it as good as it should be.
Yep. Dude, mediocre at best. I set the premiere date for it and then didn't edit it until like I started editing the full length DVD a week before the premiere. And then it wound up to where I had to pull two all-nighters right before the premiere and get it done and put it out. And it just luckily worked out to where it like went well. But fucking A, dude. Like I don't know. The procrastinating is terrible. I
For
like
sure.
I respect people who are like, okay, I got this. I got 2 months, and then just slowly chip away at it. I know Mastroni does that. Sounds like you do that, but me, I was just a fucking mess, and I just lock. Same thing. I locked myself in a room, but not for 2 months. I'd lock myself in a room for 72 hours and just.
That's funny. Well, I always heard so many stories, and I'd been to a handful of premieres where they're like, the dudes are editing the video on the way to the premiere, and then like
Yeah, dude.
it, and then you get the DVD, and it's totally fucking different. So it's
Yep.
like I never wanted to be that guy. I'm like, I want this video to be exactly what it should be, and be happy with it before anyone sees it. And then when they see it, that's what they're gonna see after. Like I don't want to be like, all right, cool, it's good enough for the premiere. Like let's get it out there. Like
Right.
I heard enough stories of that before where like for the Market video, I'm like, this shit is gonna be done. Fucking I think the hardest thing was just getting the hard copies done in time, which nowadays people don't have to worry about because it doesn't exist. But
Yeah.
I definitely made sure that like we had to like have the video done and delivered with enough time to where I think they needed like a 2 or 3 week turnaround to get the hard copies. So like at least I didn't even have a choice to be like the guy editing, because like our big thing with the Market video I remember is like we have to have videos to sell at the premiere.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend, I mean, this might be a irrelevant conversation now because full lengths aren't even really a thing, but like back in the day, it never made any sense to me why a brand would pour a lot of money and a lot of time into 2 years of filming for a project, and then they're gonna rush the final step of the the most important part of it. They're gonna rush it, and then they're gonna go to a premiere, and they're not gonna have a fucking copy of the video for you to buy. Like that is your most prime time.
For
Like
real.
every person in that room should buy that video if they really enjoyed it. And if you're gonna get
100%.
that opportunity, I think you blew it. So that was one thing that Dennis shared. The same mindset with me is we have to have videos on deck at the premiere. Like I want to watch a video, get hyped, give you my fucking money, take that video home, and I want to watch that fucking video again. I don't want to be like, cool, I'm gonna wait like a month until they figure out how to get this thing
Right.
duplicated and edited. Like that shit I never understood. So I'm glad that Dennis was on the same page and kind of let me like take the reins on things like that, where like we know what's important to us, and we implicated in there. And then another weird little thing that we did, which I always loved, that I haven't seen any other videos do aside from the video that we stole it from, is the America video. I remember like back in the day, anyone to watch BMX videos, you need a DVD player or a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
You put the video in, you watch the video, when the video's done, the fucking menu comes up. The amount of times I was sleeping over at a friend's house and you wake up in the middle of the night and the fucking DVD menu is just like playing over and over and over. It was so annoying. And that America video, after it sat for 60 seconds, it played the video again. And I'm like,
Ah,
dude, that is fucking genius, because nobody shuts the TV off after the video finishes. They
yeah.
all leave it there. Most of the time, the menu's got some music or something going on that's annoying. So people just like get over it. And I hit up Manzuri and I figured out how they did it. And we did that to the Markit video. So now, whether you want to or not, that
It's
shit's going
playing
to
again.
and then
That's
also for
cool.
like any bar or shop or whatever, it's
Yes.
just going to loop all day. You don't have to go in there and hit play again and do anything. So like that was one little random thing that like we implemented in the Markit video that maybe like slid under the radar, but to me that was one of the like the best little things that we figured out, because yeah, like I said, the amount of times I'd be sleeping at a friend's house and you wake up at like 2 in the morning and the fucking DVD menu is still playing. It was so
Right.
annoying. And like this is the best way to like, you're gonna keep watching it. Like I'll get sucked into watching a video again just because it auto played, you know?
Yeah. It's like, all right, I'll watch it again. There's a couple of things that you kind of brought into BMX videos that I was like, I'm not sure if you were the first, but to do like an iTunes sale for videos. But yeah, I think you, with the digital download and selling it through iTunes was a big deal. I forget exactly which project I'm thinking of, but
Markit was iTunes, and then Nathan's was the first, like, to my knowledge, the first digital download to buy as a video part since like fucking what was the Eli Platt one back in the day and the Brad Sims one, like
yeah,
way
what
back,
my
like
creation?
yep,
Yeah, that's trippy to
yeah.
think about.
So like
What platform? So like when I finish Mediocre 2 after 7 years of barely working on it, when I want to do a digital download, what's the software that I should use,
I
or
mean,
what's the name?
from what I looked around, and I spoke to Mike Jonas, who's my tech like
He's
wizard for that kind
smart
of
cookie,
stuff. And
dude.
yeah, I felt that Gumroad was a great
Gumroad.
for that. Maybe now there's other ones or better ones, but from what I gathered from it, it seemed to be a great outlet. And yeah, they didn't take like a crazy cut or anything. And yeah,
Gumroad.
I think there's some people that mentioned that if you didn't have room on your device to pay for it and download the file, like maybe watching it on the player wasn't as great, but I kind of thought everybody was going to end up just like having the file.
Yeah.
Uh, so maybe that wasn't as ideal, but yeah, I think like I just wanted to, that was my like way to like try and bring another level of a video part to like, okay, there's your free web videos, there's your full length DVDs that like are few and far between, but like I wanted to be in the middle where like, hey, we're still going to put the same time, effort, and everything into this part, but we don't want to put it online for free right now. It's going to go there eventually anyways, so why not try and bring the value up and make it something where people would want to spend the money, because people did, dude. I remember hitting up Nathan and I'm like, hey, like what do you think about doing like a version that cost $1 more for 4K? He's like, do you think people will care? And he's like, I don't
Why
know,
not?
like, and we didn't know. And dude, I didn't do like a final rundown, but I would say out of 5 people, like 3 or 4 of them paid the extra dollar for the higher
Hell yeah.
quality. And that helped me like that. Like I was like, okay, it's good to know that like people do care about quality when the option is given to them. Because at first I was like, oh, people aren't even going to want to spend money on this. They're going to get the cheapest version they can, whatever. And it was like reassuring to know that like, cool, like quality is a thing that does still matter. And most of the people, for sure, more than 75% of the people bought the 4K version instead of the 1080, which was a
Hell
dollar
yeah.
cheaper. And that was like
That's
nice
dope
to
to
know.
hear. Yeah, and I think on this, like, staying current theme, like I can picture you producing something that ends up on Netflix in the mountain biking world. Something with a little bit of a story, but also just like a hybrid between, trick porn and telling a story. Like I think you could bring that. I don't know if it's you or somebody, but like I think that could be the next venue. But even Netflix is almost like oversaturated and shit at this point. Like, what do you think the future of releasing videos is? What does that look like?
I mean, I definitely think it's streaming. I think like it's hard because there's a really, really rad mountain bike video called Death Grip that was on Netflix for a while. But when I was talking to the people back then, because I was trying to do a BMX video on Netflix, like they weren't, maybe the dynamics changed, but at the time they weren't picking up content to go straight to Netflix. They like wanted it to be out and like for sale and distributed. It's almost like they wanted to like see how it did before they brought it in versus like we can't, we're not going to take this on straight to us. So my goal was always to make a BMX video and get it on Netflix, and
Yeah,
or a mountain bike one would be sweet too. But I don't know um how it's changed since then. But I mean, that's what I watch all day long. Like I still go on YouTube and cruise that, but like I'm Hulu, Netflix, fucking Peacock. Like I got like 6 different streaming services between all
same.
the shows that I like to watch and stuff. And then like airplanes, like I've seen some pretty rad. Like I watched like a fucking snowboard street video on the airplane on an international flight the other day, and it was so
Sick.
because it was these like super core. I don't know anything about snowboarding, but it was these super core snowboarders pretty much made their own documentary talking about like the battle. Like pretty much it felt very much like a BMX video. They're showing you like all the things that go into like building the spots, getting kicked out, like breaking your wrist, going to the hospital, getting a cast, coming back out, like filming a clip. It was like I was like,
Yeah.
this is everything that BMX is, and it's so cool to me that that was on an airplane for any kid, adult, human, whatever that's just bored to be like, oh, cool, like what's this? I don't know anything about snowboarding, so
Yeah. And
I
it's
still
better that way instead of just like showing the tricks. Like if telling the story behind the tricks and all the troubles and tribulations. I'm leaning. I used to be only tricks. I only care about tricks, blah blah blah. But now as I'm older and like you want to appeal to a general audience, you got to like give them something more than just the tricks, which is
totally.
yeah.
Yeah, I think like I was also the same way, very much like action based edits only, and I'm all about storytelling when there's a story to be told. But the
Mhm.
amount of like horny, kooky mountain bike projects I've seen where there's a forced storyline just
Forced,
for the
yeah.
sake of trying to give a consumer more than just the riding, and I'm like, dude, like when there's a good story to tell, I'd love to hear it. But if
Yep.
there isn't like a true, like interesting story and your guys is just trying to mold some kind of like dialogue to this just to give it more like whatever, like
Agreed. Yeah.
it's terrible. Like,
Just like you said earlier, when your B-roll has to have a purpose, so does your story. It's
yeah,
it's all gotta like it has to have purpose.
yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move on to our rapid fire section and wrap this up. We've been going for 2 hours, dude.
Dude.
So I mean, every episode we got to do the Mount Rushmore. So who's your Mount Rushmore of all-time BMX riders? It's a tough one.
Oh man. Is this the Rushmore is not in order. It's
Yeah,
just
just four people.
okay. I will say Taj Mahalic, Ruben Alcantara, um, Mike Aiken, and fuck, I need to pick like one modern day person, but it's so hard to pick like the one. I mean, it might sound weird, but I can't help but pick Dennis. Like without even
Yeah,
like, taking away everything that I have associated with him. Just like
He's
if I was just an outsider looking in, it like to me, like I always tell people when they ask me about BMX or anything, like if you had to pick one ambassador of the sport, so like
Dennis.
this is BMX, Dennis, you
Yeah.
know, and like whether it's his style, his like the his competing, like his personality, everything. I feel like Dennis is what I would be more than happy with the world seeing and based
Fuck yeah, dude.
judgment on. Like, okay, if this is BMX, like this shit's fucking cool.
Yep.
So, yeah, I
Agreed.
think he would round it out with my modern day pick.
Yeah.
And
Him and
yeah,
Garrett, I think, are both the top two ambassadors. Like they're the modern day Dave Mira and Matt Hoffman, I think. Garrett
totally.
and Dennis. Dennis, I got to see. I've only gotten to see him ride a couple of times in person, but it is just like whoa, just sessioning something that like would take a regular rider like all of their balls to go and do. And I just got to see him ride in Arizona a couple of weeks ago, or a month, maybe a month or so ago, and I was blown away. And he's just a cool, nice guy at this point. I think he's been through, I don't know, yeah, starting at such a young age like he did and getting all the attention, but to wind up being a humble, amazing fucking dude is pretty special. Shout out to Dennis, you know?
For sure. He's the man. Like I often look at like the current day riders and I'm like, fuck, dude, like who I mean, I'm super jaded. I'm not like in the mix like I was before, but I'm like, who are the the Mount Rushmores of like today's day and age when like for me it's hard to see how a rider in today's day and age could ever have the impact that the earlier riders did because the earlier riders were literally setting the standard and creating
Yeah.
thing. And now that it's very much established in there, it's like who and what can today's day and age riders do? And when I say today's day and age, I mean like the generation after the Dennises and the Garretts and the Nathans and stuff. Like what can they do to like historically and like to like have the same impact that the earlier, I don't know if they can, and that's not anything against them, but like I think the history's been created and set to
Yeah.
like I don't know what you can do. Like there's like no more banger video parts and DVDs. There's no more interviews and covers in magazines. Like all the most important things that solidified these legends of our time. Like I said, we're both the same age. Like it's I don't know what you do or who or how you
Yeah.
do it nowadays when it's like what who had the most viral Instagram clip. Like,
Exactly.
what's it
Yeah. You're
gonna
scrolling
what's
through
it gonna
Instagram.
be like?
Yep.
It's a strange dynamic, but I mean BMX is always grown. It's always been in waves, and it's I think no matter what, it's gonna keep going and keep growing, and I think it's in a better place than it ever has been. There's more skate parks, there's more people riding, there's easier access and better bikes than ever. So it's like everything's going in the right direction. So I can't
Yeah.
wait to see where it goes. But it's pretty interesting to think like who's going to be our
Yeah.
iconic, influential people that like carry the flag for BMX when dudes like Dennis and Garrett are taking a back seat and like running their own companies and not like out there fucking
Pushing
chasing
it.
the game
Right.
anymore.
Which I can't believe they still are, dude. It's fucking amazing. And
Yeah.
even Dennis and Garrett, they've been in it for a long time and they're still getting better and going hard. I got
Yeah.
my eyes on like Felix. Felix is up there for me with this new generation. Courage
Oh yeah.
Adams, Simone. I mean, and even them, they're not the young guns at this point, you know? Like
No.
who are the young bucks and what does the future look like? How do you stand out in this day and age where it's all just fast content? I think it's Corey Walsh said it, it's there's something very special about saving all your good shit and putting it out in a video part. Like follow the Christian Rigal and Nathan Williams why not model, Like work on something special for a while with a good filmer, which is rare to find a good filmer who's like down at this point. That's what everybody complains about is just like, yeah, I want to make it, but I don't have a fucking filmer. But so it's
Well,
like,
that's the strangest thing to me that's like an issue nowadays because I'm like, dude, like Corey Martinez just dropped an amazing video part and it was all filmed on a fucking iPhone.
exactly.
You
Yeah.
have no excuses. Like the amount of effort it took for us to like I said, my first sponsor me tape, I had to like I made friends with this like kid from San Diego that like filmed this video. Like you had to go really out of your way to like create something. And now like but there's people that are more savvy with making like I don't even know how to like before Instagram implemented music on reels and stuff like that. Like I never even knew how to put music onto my own videos for an Instagram video. I didn't
Yeah.
care because I'm like, I make real videos. I don't even
Yeah.
know that shit. So it's like nowadays there's people that are more qualified and better at creating Instagram and social modern day content than me. And
Yeah.
everyone's got a camera in their pocket. So like there's no
For
excuse
real.
to not be productive. Like you could self film insane shit and fucking crop and zoom and track and like
Yep.
Dak does it all the time. I see Dak post some sick clips where he just set up his camera and just do a little crop and zoom
Yeah.
and throw some motion to it. And you're like, cool, it's got some life to it now. It's not just
This
a
is the new computer. Then it's the camera, it's the editing software, it's everything built in. And yeah, like Kyle Hart, I think does a good job of it too. The self film where you crop in after and do. I've never fucked with that. I know there's an app made for it where you can zoom and keyframe where you want it to be
yep,
and blah blah blah. But kids are getting good, dude. Like they don't even understand what Adobe Premiere Pro is. They just know how to use Splice or CapCut or whatever the fuck and
for
make their
sure.
videos. All right. Another question I always ask is tell me, three or four riders that I don't know about that I should know about. I know you don't have your finger on the pulse. Maybe tell me mountain bikers that I should follow.
Um,
Besides Brandon Semenuk, because he's already up there.
yeah. I mean, it's tough because there's so many different riders in the space doing different things. I don't know. I can't help but just like pick some of my favorites. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
our
tell
dog,
me.
our dog's name's Ryan Howard. I consider him like the Chase Hawk of mountain biking. He's like the dude that like any rider wishes they rode like him. And
Okay.
I think he is a very great ambassador of the sport and everything that is mountain biking, from digging to riding to style and lifestyle and everything. I'd put him high on that list.
Following him now. Okay.
Yep. And
Thank
then
you.
another one is Thomas Janon. He is from Belgium, lives in France. Good friend of mine, like highly successful in slope style as well as rampage, and like he rides all the bikes. He's very often noted to have Mike Aiken style on his like Oppo 360 like moto one footers. He's got like
He's fucking
very
sick,
very
dude. Just
stylish,
looking
but
at this.
also like can do cash rolls and like all the other shit. So like he's a perfect example of like ticking all the boxes. Kind of like Dennis, he could do it all, video part, compete, whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Man, mountain biking is a whole different world. I've never. This is so cool. Maybe a couple more.
for sure.
Yeah.
Another one would be fuck, probably Nico Vink. He's a very influential dude. Rode BMX as a kid. He used to like ride mini ramps with Hanu Cools back in the day. Also from Belgium. He's known nowadays for building some of the biggest or the biggest mountain bike jumps ever and riding them in a comfortable, like safe, like way. Not just like hucking and building some like uncalculated shit. He's really pushing the sport in a new direction with big bikes and big jumps and what's possible and how you can do it. Like stuff that people used to do as like a one-off stunt. He's now building whole lines that are of that size and like taking
Damn,
a train of
dude.
like 20 dudes through it. So
Yeah. He's
yeah,
fucking
flying.
amazing. That is
Yeah. And
sick,
he's
dude.
like, went from being like BMX dude to downhill racer to a free rider. So those
I love
three
that.
like very different dudes that I think are all contributing a lot of awesomeness to the sport. But
Fuck yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Now I get a little window into mountain biking.
for sure. But for BMX, if I had to rattle off a couple quick ones, I'd say Cole Volker. Been really
Yep.
stoked on what Cole's been doing. Um, fuck, he's definitely been a standout that I keep seeing stuff from. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm like I know the people by like their riding, but I'm not so good with names. But yeah, there's a lot of dudes. Fuck, I can't even keep up nowadays. But Cole's definitely been one that I've noticed. I'm like, cool. It's sick to see that like he's just got his own thing going, and even if he didn't have that last name, he would be
Mm-hmm.
successful in what he's doing.
He's dope. He's incredible. Okay. Favorite video part that you've one filmed and then two ridden or rode, biked in.
It's hard for me to not pick. Dennis's last chance part.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
we got to use like whatever fucking music we wanted. We filmed for a long time. We went to some very amazing, one of a kind spots. Um, I remember like editing the part and like needing like one more like really fast like fucking pedaling trick and just telling Dennis and showing him the inch like, dude, like we got these 4 clips, we just need one more, like fuck yeah, let's go get it, like just we had all the pieces to the puzzle for that. Like, yeah, I used music that you would never in your life be able to use anymore or like get clearance
Yeah.
for or anything. So, and that like, yeah, he won Nora Cup from it. And I think like obviously he's dropped some very historic parts since then, but I think like for that era of time and the shit that he did some shit in that video that I don't even know if he would do nowadays. So like I feel like
Sick.
that's like a telltale sign that like that was something special.
That's a good choice.
And
Okay.
then
What about you riding?
for me riding, it's got to be my United part. That was like the one where Markit part was I'm really proud of, but that was more road trippy and like kind of came across some random stuff. But United was much more meticulous in the sense of like definitely did a lot of trips, but I seeked out a lot of setups that I'd been looking at forever, or like just some shit that like I never would have found again that I was able to get for that part.
Okay. How long did it take to work on that part?
I think that was a two year project, and a lot of my footage was with my homies that I filmed. Like Peter Adam was the filmer, but
Love
like
Peter.
on the trips, like I definitely get some good stuff I'm stoked on the trips. But like, I mean, you're on a trip with up to 6 to 8 other dudes. Like it's
Yeah.
hard to really get it in. So shout out to Pete for being cool with me, like getting a lot of footage with like even the banger and a bunch of stuff. Like a lot of my part was filmed with my friends, but that was what gave me the means to like really go in and like get the shit I wanted. And yeah, like I look back at that and I'm like, cool. Like I look at the setups I did and like I'd be hard pressed to find a bigger or better setup of a lot of the stuff that I did. And that's how I always did my riding. Like if I ice picked a 20 stair in my last part, I got to do a 22 or more in the next one.
Yeah.
Never trying to like one down anything. So
Yeah.
I feel like I genuinely like peaked out at that part, and I always told myself if I try and film another one, I'm probably gonna really break myself off because I already like dabbled with the limits of what was physically possible for me
Yeah.
with a lot of those clips, and I rolled the dice, and I definitely got hurt a lot, but I think like that was the best of my best for that time of my life.
Fuck yeah. That's still United, right?
Still United, correct?
Yeah. All right, and then the last thing is advice. I think, yeah, just general advice for young kids who are, I don't know, maybe they've been riding for a couple of years and they're just getting a taste of what it's like. I don't know. They're hungry. Maybe they're not sponsored. I don't know. What's your advice to a young BMX rider at this point?
I mean, honestly, like it's hard to say one specific thing, but when I look back to like everything that I experienced in my time, like the things that stand out and seem the most important to me were like just my riding group, like my core group of friends, like, like you could go anywhere with the right people and have a great time. So if you like have that crew, you could be at the best spot in the world, you could be at the worst spot in the world, and you're still gonna have a great time. And yeah, I'd say like just surround yourself with the people that you want to be around, and um take motivation from the people that are doing what you want to do, and use that to try and get there. Like
Perfect.
I don't know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of influences out there, and nowadays it's easier than ever to reach out, to connect, to like have a connection with these people that when I was younger were like up on this pedestal that like you could like maybe write a letter to ride BMX, and maybe like Fudger would like read
Yeah.
it to a pro or something like that. But nowadays, like you could straight DM fucking Taj Mahalic and talk to him, like not to say
Yeah.
every pro on the internet's gonna, have the time or see the message or whatever. But I think like we live in a very unique day and age where like I was never afraid to ask a filmer or a rider a question if I had one. And I try and do that same thing, pay that same favor back, like I feel like everything that we've learned and accomplished in our lives is wasted if we can't share that experience with somebody else. So
Fuck yeah.
Anything I can do to share the knowledge or share the experience and get people stoked on this very unique lifestyle that we get to live if you ride bikes is, yeah, that's the dream. So more than
It is
happy
the
to do
dream.
that, and don't be afraid to reach out and ask some questions or get some motivation from someone that you're stoked on.
Yeah, hit Christian up. Start bothering him. Ask him
Maybe
questions. What are you
maybe
most excited about that's coming up on the horizon for you? I know you mentioned you got a demo part, a Corey part coming out, but what about for you? What are you most excited about in the future?
I've got two video parts done already, mountain bike parts. One on a trail that I built. It took me 2 years to build. Another is a pretty cool, unique street concept video. And then I've
Dope.
built the
I'm
third
excited.
one and I'm about to shoot the third video. So I'm stoked to like be like 4 months into the new year and have three full like video parts on deck. And then yeah, now I haven't even like dove into like the means that I have to make more projects this year. So I'm trying to just keep the ball rolling and be like ahead of the curve now, instead of like last year I had a couple injuries. I switched a couple sponsors, so I wasn't as like productive and putting out as much stuff as I want. But yeah, I'm like stoked on where I'm at going into this new year. I broke my collarbone before Christmas. I'm all good now, feeling good on the bike. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
stoked to keep riding and keep working on cool projects and do some traveling and try and keep the dream alive.
Happy for you, dude. What are you gonna do the rest of today?
I'm gonna keep moving my house. I live over by the beach in Aptos now, and I just had an amazing opportunity to move into my own house on 100-acre property that's got
Sheesh.
three mountain bike trails already on the property. And like I said, the trail that started it all for me is literally across the road from where I live.
Fuck off. That's so dope.
So this is the closest I'll have to living in what I hope to buy one day. I want to buy land. I want to have a house on the property, and I want to have all the property in the world to build all my projects and all my trails. So right now I'm renting that and I have it all and I'm very stoked, and I couldn't be happier to stay in this place while I work towards buying what I'm pretty much what I'm living in now one day. So
What the hell
that's the
just happened?
goal.
Good for you, dude. I hope this recording doesn't stop. Okay, cool. And then last thing, do you want to shout out your sponsors? That's a silly, goofy thing, but if you want to, before we wrap.
I mean, I'll shout out some people and then some sponsors as well. Like I definitely owe a huge thanks to Dennis Anderson, Mark Losi, Brian Castillo, Ian Morris, all and John Pova, all very influential and crucial people to my BMX careers. And then yeah, as far as mountain biking goes, like Brandon Semenick for sure starting it all off for me. Kyle Jameson, R Dog, Nico Vink, and then all my sponsors that let me live the dream that I do. So it's Specialized, SRAM, Rock Shocks, 510, and Fox.
Fuck
So,
yeah, Christian. Good for you, dude. I'm
dude,
so
thank you.
happy for you.
I
You live.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
It's
you're
like I
living.
said, it's a dream come true that I never would have even dreamed, because it didn't even seem possible in the realm of anything that I could accomplish. I just got stoked on riding bikes, and I'm grateful it turned into something. But another thing too for kids, like everyone always asks, like, oh, like what's some advice? Like I've both of my careers, well, three of them. I'm 3 careers in now. I never had these like aspirations of being a pro rider, a pro filmer, a pro mountain biker. I just genuinely loved it. I
Yeah.
stuck with it. I kept going with it, and it turned into a career, but I was never hungry in the sense of like I want to make it as a pro. I want to like be where these guys are at. So if you love something, pour
Just
your
keep
heart into
doing it.
it. And if you have the right intentions, which I'm sure you do, if you really love something, then it's all going to work out.
Boom. Fuck yeah. All right. Let's wrap it up, Christian. Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers, dude.
Cheers, guys. Adios. Thank you for watching another episode of Kanode Knows, brought to you by Dig BMX. Hope you enjoyed that one, and I hope you have a great week. See you, yeah, see you next time. Have a good day.